Crossing time falling for the prince.
Lalin, a modern Thai office girl, obsessed with ancient Chinese dramas, gets sucked into a mysterious painting and wakes up as a stranger in an ancient kingdom. What starts as a desperate struggle to survive turns into something totally unexpected. She captures the attention and heart of Prince Longyu, the cold and stoic third prince, who never believed in love two hearts. Suddenly, he finds himself protecting this strange, outspoken woman, who turns his world upside down. Amid court intrigues, battles for the throne, and hidden secrets of the kingdom, can Lalin find her way back to her own world? Or will her heart make her choose a completely different destiny? This story has it all: romance, comedy, martial arts, palace schemes, and heart-fluttering moments. Get ready to cross time and fall in love right alongside her.
Chapter 1: Crossing Time, Stirring the Royal Palace.
Shanghai, China. Rain fell softly over the bustling city as Lalin,
a young Thai office worker obsessed with Chinese historical dramas, wandered through the ancient Chinese art museum. Her eyes sparkled with joy
as she admired the stunning brushwork, delicate colors, and intricate details of the paintings lining the gallery walls. Wow! This painting of the Imperial Palace is incredible. It looks just like a drama scene, she murmured to herself, raising her phone with a grin to snap a selfie. But then, suddenly, a radiant golden light burst forth from the painting. The ground beneath her feet trembled violently, as though some unseen force was pulling at her, tugging her toward the glowing canvas. Lalin's breath hitched. Wait, what's happening? Before she could move, the golden light engulfed her whole. Hey, what the heck is going on? Wait, I haven't even watched the final episode of my latest drama yet, Lalin screamed, her voice echoing into the golden light. But it was too late. The next thing she knew, her eyes fluttered open, and she was sprawled across icy cold stone tiles. Blinking in shock, Lalin slowly pushed herself up, only to find herself surrounded by people dressed in elaborate ancient Chinese robes. Soldiers lined up in neat formation, gripping long spears. Elderly officials gaped at her with wide, horrified eyes, as though she were some kind of demon dropped from the heavens. Hey, don't tell me. Who is this woman? A sharp voice bellowed across the courtyard. Seize her. She may be a spy from the enemy kingdom. A soldier barked, charging straight at her. Wait. I'm not a spy. I'm just a regular office girl, Lalin yelped, frantically waving her hands in the air. But no one listened. Rough hands grabbed her arms tightly. Ow. Hey, big bro, calm down a bit. We can just talk this out, right? Lalin yelped, her mouth twisting into a pained grimace. But it was no use. No one paid her the slightest attention. Oh no. Did I really just time travel? Lalin screamed inside her head, her heart pounding furiously. As the soldiers dragged her through the stone courtyard, her mind raced. This wasn't a dream. This wasn't some immersive VR game. This was real, terrifyingly, shockingly real. The grand ceremonial courtyard stretched wide, lined with rows of elegantly dressed nobles. Guards stood watch at every corner, their expressions sharp and alert. At the front, elevated on a high platform, stood a tall man in a regal black robe. His presence was cold, commanding, and utterly untouchable. Lalin was dragged, half stumbling, into the center of the courtyard by the soldiers, her hair a mess and her clothes rumpled. Ow. Wait. I'm not a spy. I just got lost, okay, big bro? She cried, twisting in their grip. Silence. How dare you spout lies before His Highness? One of the officials barked, his face flushed with fury. His Highness? Lalin's head shot up, and her mouth fell open in shock. The man on the platform was stunning. Piercing eyes, chiseled features, a cool, unreadable aura. Without thinking, Lalin blurted out, "That's under a prince." A heavy silence fell across the entire courtyard. Prince Longyu raised an eyebrow, his cool, sharp gaze fixed on the strange girl before him. "What, did you just call me?" His voice was low and smooth, but there was a quiet authority beneath every word. Lalin swallowed hard. Oh no. I said it out loud. What do I do now? I meant, Your Highness, the esteemed and noble prince, of course. Lalin stammered, forcing a dry, nervous laugh. Her hands flailed awkwardly, as if she could wave her slip-up away. By Prince Longyu's side, by Xian. The mischievous young bodyguard smirked, barely holding back a laugh. She's an odd one, Your Highness. I've never heard anyone call you that before. The soldiers shifted uncomfortably, glancing at each other. The nobles exchanged whispered murmurs, and Lalin wished the ground would just swallow her whole. Prince Longyu continued to stare at Lalin with those piercing, unreadable eyes. His gaze sharpened as he slowly narrowed them. Who are you? How did you come to be here? Oh no, oh no, oh no. Think fast, Lalin. If you want to keep your head attached, you better survive this. She took a deep breath, then plastered the sweetest, most innocent smile she had ever worn in her life. I am just a lost traveler. Your Highness, I wandered off and accidentally, stumbled into the royal palace by mistake. She chirped, holding up her fingers in a tiny cross-promise gesture. The surrounding officials erupted into murmurs. Impossible. The palace is tightly guarded. How could she possibly have entered? She must be a spy. Punish her severely. Another voice barked. Hey, calm down. You can't just jump to that conclusion. Lalin screamed inwardly, her face paling. Prince Longyu's cold gaze lingered on her for another long, heavy moment. Then, with a calm and icy tone, he commanded. Throw her in the dungeon. I will interrogate her myself later. Huh? The dungeon? Wait a second, Sundara Prince. I'm innocent. Lalin shrieked, eyes wide with panic. But it was too late. Two soldiers immediately grabbed her arms from both sides. Hey, don't just drag me off like this. At least let me explain first. She wailed, flailing helplessly as they began hauling her away. Prince Longyu, the ever-cool and unshakable royal, simply turned on his heel and walked away, not sparing her a single glance. Are you kidding me? We're only a few minutes into this story, and I'm already getting tossed into a dungeon? Lalin screamed internally, her head spinning with disbelief. Ow, could you be a little gentler? I didn't even do anything wrong. Lalin cried out miserably, as the soldiers roughly shoved her forward. Clang! The heavy wooden door slammed shut, leaving her alone in the stone cell. Cold, dark, and damp. Oh my god. I've only been in this world for a few hours. And I'm already locked up. Lalin whimpered inside, hugging her knees as she sat on the hard floor, her eyes darting anxiously around the room. The prison was no joke. Shadowy figures loomed in the other cells, their wary gazes flicking toward her. And in one corner was a giant, muscle-bound man glaring at her like she might be tonight's dinner. No. I can't just sit here and wait to be eaten, Lalin thought, her heart pounding like crazy. Taking a deep breath, she closed her eyes for a second, and summoned every ounce of knowledge she had from all the Chinese dramas she'd binge-watched over the years. Okay, Lalin, think. What would the smart heroine do? Trick the guards? Fake an illness? Pretend to faint? Use your wits. Okay. If this were a Chinese drama, what would the heroine do when thrown into prison? Lalin's mind raced. 1. Don't act weak, or you'll get bullied. 2. Find a helper, or come up with an escape plan. 3. Make yourself look harmless, so no one suspects you. She sat up straighter, puffing her chest just a little. Deep breaths. Lalin, you're not just some random office girl now. You're the heroine of this story. Suddenly, a rough voice called from a neighboring cell. Hey, princess who fell down the well. Where'd you come from, huh? The prisoner sneered, his tone sly and taunting. Lalin forced a shaky smile down her back. Lalin cleared her throat, straightening her back and speaking with as much confidence as she could muster. Me? Oh, I'm, the disciple of a legendary master who lives atop Mount Tai. I just, accidentally got lost and ended up here in prison. Haha, yeah. Yes! A murmur rippled through the other prisoners. Several pairs of eyes flicked toward her, filled with suspicion and a hint of awe. Yes, just bluff your way through for now, Lalin cheered herself on internally. But then, if you're really a disciple of a great master, rumbled a deep, menacing voice. Why don't you show us some of your skills? The giant prisoner stood up, his massive, muscle-bound arms flexing, as he slowly approached her cell. His grin was sharp, his eyes glinting with challenge. Oh no. What on earth can I even show them? I can barely do a push-up. Lalin panicked, her mind spinning wildly for a plan. Lalin clenched her teeth, mind racing. Okay, what do I do? Wait, I remember watching that TikTok about Chinese martial arts poses. Without thinking, she shot to her feet, awkwardly copying the martial stance she remembered from a random video. Then, in her loudest voice, she barked, "How dare you question me?" The giant prisoner paused for just a second, then charged straight at her. Smack. In pure panic, Lalin's instincts kicked in, but not from the fake kung fu. No, this came from the Muay Thai class she took ages ago at the gym. She swung her leg up and slammed her knee right into the big man's stomach. Thud. The massive prisoner crashed to the ground, gasping for air. The entire prison fell deathly silent. Wait, what? Did I really just knock him down? Am I this strong? Lalin thought, dizzy with shock. Whispers spread like wildfire. The other prisoners slowly began eyeing her, not with suspicion anymore, but with wide-eyed respect, and just a hint of fear. She's really a disciple of a Grand Master. She's so strong. Wow, this is actually working out. Lalin cheered silently, grinning. She crossed her arms, putting on her best fierce, martial hero expression. If you don't want to get hurt, stay out of my way. Understand? The other prisoners all nodded vigorously, their eyes wide with shock and sudden respect. Yes, I did it. I'm basically the boss of this prison now. Lalin laughed inwardly, riding high on her unexpected victory. But before she could celebrate too long, a sharp voice rang out from outside the cell. Open the gates. His Highness, the third prince, has come to inspect the dungeon. Lalin flinched hard. What? The Tsundere prince is coming down here. Oh no, oh no, oh no. I'm in so much trouble.
Chapter 2. First clash with the Tsundere prince.
Creak. The heavy cell door swung open, footsteps echoing sharply across the cold stone floor. Lalin slowly lifted her head, eyes wide with caution, only to freeze in place. Standing right in front of her was a young man, clad entirely in sleek black robes, his presence radiating a frosty aura, so intense it felt like a minus 10 degrees Celsius air conditioner had just been cranked up inside the dungeon. Oh my god, this is it. This is 100% the cold Tsundere male lead straight out of a Chinese drama. Her mouth fell open as she gawked at the flawlessly handsome, sculpture-like features of the man before her. Prince Longyu swept his sharp gaze over her from head to toe, his dark brows knitting slightly. Who are you? Lalin shot up, hastily brushing dust off her clothes. She forced the most innocent, wide-eyed expression she could manage. Me? Oh, I'm just an ordinary woman who happened to wander into the palace by mistake. Your Highness. Beside the prince, by Xin, his cheeky young bodyguard, let out a snort. Mistakenly wandered into the palace? What do palace maids nowadays sneak in through the sewer drains? Lalin shot a glare toward by Xin. Ugh, this cheeky bodyguard is seriously asking for a slap. Prince Longyu, however, kept his razor-sharp eyes locked on her, as if he could pierce right through her soul. I'll give you one more chance. Where do you truly come from? Lalin swallowed hard. A gulp. Her mind racing. Should I pull the classic drama heroine bluff again? Worth a shot. She crossed her arms confidently, lifted her chin, and declared, I am the secret disciple of a mysterious Grandmaster from Mount Tai. Bai Xian nearly choked on his own breath. What? Mount Tai? A Grandmaster's disciple? Does she think we're fools or something? Prince Longyu didn't laugh like his bodyguard. No, instead, he slowly stepped forward. Lalin instinctively took a tiny step back, her heart hammering in her chest. Too close. Too close. This is way too close. You're a terrible liar. The deep, cool voice slipped out softly, his sharp eyes locking onto hers, without a hint of wavering. Lalin broke into a cold sweat. Oh no, am I busted already? But before she could even scramble for a way out, a voice called from behind. Your Highness. This woman, just moments ago, kicked a prisoner so hard he flew into the wall. What? Longyu raised a brow, intrigued. Bai Xian spun to gape at her, wide-eyed. She's that small, but she kicked someone across the room? Lalin gave an awkward, twitchy smile and hastily waved her hands. Oh, that was just a little test. Yeah, I was, testing my martial strength. Prince Longyu tilted his head slightly, studying her, and then the faintest smirk curved at the corner of his lips. Is that so? In that case, why don't I personally test you as well? Lalin's eyes widened in pure panic. Wait, what? Huh? Before Lalin could even process what was happening, Prince Longyu flicked his sleeve, and in the next instant, he lunged at her with lightning speed. Her instinct screamed, and she threw her arms up just in time. His fist stopped dead, mere millimeters from her face, the force vibrating the air. Oh my god. This is way faster than anything I've ever seen in a drama. Heart racing, Lalin scrambled back, hopping a few steps away to catch her breath. Wait, Your Highness, isn't this a bit much for a test? But Prince Longyu only smirked slightly as he swiftly unsheathed his sword. If you truly have martial skills, then you should be able to defend yourself. Lalin's knees nearly gave out. I'm dead. I'm so dead. Baekxian's jaw dropped in disbelief. Whoa, Your Highness, are you testing her? Or actually trying to take her down? Lalin's eyes went wide as she muttered under her breath. What kind of tsundere male lead waves a sword at the heroine? Where's the romance? But there was no time to complain, because the prince lunged at her again. With a sharp slash, his blade whistled through the air, closing the distance between them at terrifying speed. Oh no, he's serious. He's really serious. Lalin screamed internally, heart pounding so hard, it nearly burst out of her chest. Dodging frantically, she leapt aside, barely missing the strike by a hair. Okay, time to pull out every move I've ever learned from action movies, TikTok videos, and gym classes. Guest room she'd been allowed to stay in after narrowly escaping the dungeon. But even though she was now free, one huge question still loomed over her. How on earth was she supposed to get back home? Ugh, what am I going to do? She groaned, sitting up and rubbing her face as her brain scrambled for ideas. Wait, in all those Chinese dramas, when the heroine time travels, she usually has to find some hidden item or ancient scroll, right? Lalin collapsed face first onto the soft futon in the temporary. She nodded firmly to herself. All right, I just need to figure out how to cross dimensions and go home somehow. The next morning, filled with determination, Lalin set out, wandering around the palace in search of any clues or hints about time travel or magical objects. But she hadn't even gone far when she stumbled right into a huge problem. Oh no, she whispered, eyes going wide as she turned a corner, and found herself face to face with something she absolutely hadn't prepared for. Stranger, stop right there. A maid's sharp voice rang out behind her. Huh, I'm just walking around. Lalin yelped, spinning around in alarm. You're not allowed to wander freely. You're trespassing in a restricted area of the palace. The maid snapped, glaring at her as if ready to haul her straight back to the ministers. Or worse. Oh no. I was just trying to look for clues, not get arrested again. Lalin panicked, heart racing. But before the maid could seize her, a new, graceful voice cut in smoothly. Let her go. I'll handle her myself. Turning, Lalin's eyes widened as she saw Princess Sufei approaching, her elegant robe swaying softly, a mysterious smile playing on her lips. Wait, is this my golden chance? Or am I about to get pulled into an even bigger mess? Soon, Lalin found herself seated across from the princess, sipping tea calmly inside a delicate little pavilion. I've heard, Sufei murmured, her sharp eyes glinting, that you're the stranger who appeared out of nowhere in the middle of the palace. How very intriguing. Lalin swallowed nervously, clutching her teacup. Okay, this feels like one of those moments where the elegant princess either offers you help or plays a game you absolutely can't win. Lalin let out an awkward, dry laugh. Well, yeah, something like that, Your Highness. Princess Sufei's sharp gaze never wavered. And then, a sly smirk tugged at the corner of her lips. You're searching for something, aren't you? Lalin jolted in shock. Wah? How does she know I'm trying to find a way back home? I happen to know a few things, Sufei continued smoothly, her voice calm but filled with hidden layers. About the secrets you're so desperate to uncover. Lalin sat frozen, heart hammering. But before I help you, the princess added, eyes glinting mischievously, you must help me first. Oh no. Why does this feel exactly like those secret side quests in RPG games? If you agree to cooperate, Sufei murmured, gently swirling her teacup, I might just help you unlock the truth about your dimensional journey. Lalin clenched her fists on her lap. How much can I really trust her? But what if she truly knows something? The stakes had just shot sky high, and her next move could change everything. In the end, Lalin had no choice but to grit her teeth and force out the words, "Alright, so, what exactly do you want me to do, Your Highness?" Princess Sufei's sweet smile curved wider. But beneath that sweetness shimmered something sharp, something almost sinister. "Oh, it's simple," she cooed softly, her voice like silk laced with hidden thorns. "Make my dear Prince Longyu completely lose his cool." Lalin's jaw dropped. Huh? Her mind whirled into chaos. Wait, what did she just say? Did I hear that right? She wants me to mess with the cold Sundra prince? The same guy who almost sliced me in half the other day. Her stomach twisted nervously, but at the same time, a tiny spark of mischief flickered to life. Oh no, why does this sound like the craziest, most dangerous, but also most hilarious mission I've ever gotten in my life? What? You want me to serve as Prince Longyu's personal maid? Lalin practically shrieked, eyes bulging as Princess Sufei calmly sipped her tea. Sufei let out a soft, lilting laugh. Precisely. You want to find your way back home, don't you? I'll help you, if you can manage to make Longyu lose his cool. Lalin gulped hard. She wants me to mess with the ice-cold prince? The one who looks like someone's always stepping on his foot? This is insane. But what choice did she have? If she wanted to stay inside the palace, gather information, and survive long enough to figure out her next move, then she needed a cover. And this mission was the only ticket she had. Alright, you win, she muttered under her breath, rolling up her sleeves. Brace yourself, Prince Longyu. You have no idea what kind of chaos is about to crash into your life. The next morning, Lalin was officially assigned to the team of palace maids in Prince Longyu's residence. And that's when the real nightmare began. Wait, what? Why do maids have to wake up before the roosters even start crowing? Bleary-eyed and half-stumbling, she was dragged into the relentless morning routine, preparing the prince's bath, arranging his clothes, polishing his personal belongings, all before the sun was even fully up. And that wasn't all. She had to walk with her head bowed gracefully, speak in a soft, polite voice, and above all, never, ever, be clumsy. Oh my god. This is way harder than typing up spreadsheets or answering client emails. Clutching a stack of folded robes, Lalin puffed her cheeks out in frustration. I'm starting to wonder if returning to the modern world is even worth it. The next morning, Lalin had been assigned a simple-sounding task. Bring tea to Prince Longyu in his study room. Carrying the tray carefully, she walked as gracefully as she could manage. Well, as graceful as a time-traveling office girl could get. But the moment she stepped into the room, bam, there it was. The prince's icy, piercing gaze landed on her instantly. What are you doing here? Longyu asked coolly, lifting his head from the scroll he'd been reading, eyes narrowing with clear suspicion. Ugh, seriously? I'm just delivering tea. Why do you have to look at me like I'm some escaped convict sneaking into your study? Swallowing hard, Lalin forced a shaky smile and lifted the tray. Humble servant, I'm the new maid. Your Highness. Tea, sir. Longyu's sharp gaze lingered on her for a long moment, before he finally reached out, taking the cup and sipping it in complete silence. Yeesh, it's like serving a living iceberg. How am I supposed to make him lose his cool like Princess Sufei wants? Okay, I survived the first test. Lalin cheered herself inside, standing rigidly as she watched the prince sip his tea. She let her eyes wander carefully around the room. So many books. It's got the vibe of a super hardworking CEO. But just as she glanced left, then right, suddenly, crash, eep. Lalin yelped as the tray slipped from her hands, sending the teacups shattering across the polished floor. The air in the room dropped several degrees. Slowly, ever so slowly, Longyu lifted his gaze from his scroll. His dark eyes frosted over. You are incredibly clumsy. Oh no, oh no, oh no. I'm dead, aren't I? This is it. This is how I get kicked out of the palace.
Chapter 3. Chaos in the Palace, Modern Slang Mishap.
A brand new morning. Lalin continued her, reluctant, maid duties inside Prince Longyu's residence. Sigh, seriously. Did I really cross dimensions just to become a glorified tea fetcher? She thought, clutching a tray of breakfast, as she trudged toward the prince's study. But the moment she opened the door, collision thwack. Whoa, you scared me. Lalin jumped back, eyes wide as she spotted Longyu mid-strike, his sword slicing clean through. A straw dummy with deadly precision. His Highness is practicing his swordplay. Please keep your voice down, whispered by Xian, the ever-smirking bodyguard standing nearby. Okay, so the prince isn't just a cold CEO type. He's also a sword master. Great. He's basically a live-action wuxia hero. Determined to keep herself calm, Lalin tiptoed forward. But then, under her breath, she muttered without thinking. Dang, that was so OP. Total final boss vibes right there. The room fell silent. Long Yu froze mid-swing. Bai Xian tilted his head, blinking. Oh, P. Long Yu repeated slowly, frowning. Final, what? Bai Xian echoed, eyes wide. Lalin clapped a hand over her mouth. Ah, no. I blurted out modern gamer slang. They don't know what that means here. Cue the scene of two ancient warriors staring at her like she'd just sprouted another head. Lalin couldn't help it. The words just slipped out. Oh wow. So cool. He's totally a knight in shining armor. She whispered under her breath. Eyes sparkling. Suddenly, swoosh. Long Yu stopped mid-strike and turned sharply to face her. What did you just call me? Oh no. I forgot myself again. Quickly, Lalin forced a stiff, awkward smile. Humble servant meant. Your Highness's supreme martial skills. Worthy of being called the #1 swordsman in the land, sir. Beside them, Bai Xian burst out laughing. Wait, what was that? Knight in shining armor? Lalin flinched. Crap. I forgot this isn't my world. They don't even have that phrase here. Long Yu narrowed his eyes, his sharp gaze fixed on her. You speak strange words. Knight? Shining armor? Which kingdom uses such terms? Oh no. If I tell them I'm from another world, they'll probably toss me into the fire for witchcraft or something. Thinking at lightning speed, Lalin threw on her most innocent, radiant smile. It's a compliment. Your Highness. From, my homeland's dialect. It means, a brave and valiant hero. Bai Xian slapped his knee and laughed out loud. Oh ho. In that case, I can be a knight in shining armor, too, can't I? Lalin shot him a side-eye. Please. Stop trying to squeeze yourself into the spotlight. Inside the imperial kitchen, Lalin clutched the knife in her hand, staring at the mountain of vegetables in front of her. What? You want me to chop veggies? I'm not a chef. I barely survive on takeout and instant noodles. She picked up a carrot and began slicing, with the grace of a total newbie. And then, clunk. The knife slipped, barely missing her fingers. Ouch. Forgot to turn on pro mode. She blurted aloud, wincing. The nearby maids all froze mid-motion, glancing at one another in confusion. Pro mode. What strange words are those? One of them whispered. I said it out loud again. Quickly, Lalin let out a nervous laugh. It's, just a saying from my homeland. It means, when you make a mistake, you refocus and try again. The maids exchanged puzzled glances, but eventually nodded, still a bit unsure. Oh, I see. They murmured, moving on cautiously. Lalin wiped the sweat from her brow. Phew, that was close, at this rate. I'm going to reveal myself. Before I even finish cutting cucumbers. At the Imperial Pavilion, Lalin strolled leisurely through the pavilion garden, hoping to clear her mind from the chaos of kitchen duty. But as she rounded a corner, she came upon a group of senior ministers deep in discussion. The Qin Kingdom has been making suspicious moves. One minister murmured gravely. I believe they are plotting something. Perhaps a military strike. Lalin, still half in her own world, mumbled under her breath. Sounds just like a final boss strategy. Stopwatch click dot. Wait. Her eyes shot open in panic. Oh no. I said that out loud. The entire circle of ministers turned sharply, staring at her as if she'd just claimed to be an assassin. Final boss? What military formation is that? One elder questioned, furrowing his brows. Is it a hidden strategy from a foreign land? Another asked urgently. Someone fetch the war council. Lalin flailed her arms frantically. No, it's just... I meant it's like, the biggest challenge in a game. Ahem. I mean, like a critical turning point in battle. The ministers exchanged puzzled glances, nodding slowly, still half confused. A poetic metaphor, perhaps. Yes. Young people these days speak strangely. Lalin let out a massive sigh of relief. Phew. Crisis averted, barely. Gulp. Lalin swallowed hard gulp. She forced a wobbly smile, her cheeks twitching. It's an ancient strategy. From my homeland. Your Highness. It refers to the most critical, final battle in any campaign. The ministers raised their brows, murmuring among themselves. Interesting. Her homeland has peculiar terms indeed. Yes, yes. Quite imaginative. These foreign tactics. Phew, survived that one, barely. Lalin exhaled. Her heart still pounding like a drum. But just as she dared to relax, a cool, commanding voice sliced through the air from behind her. Why do you always speak so strangely? Lalin froze. Slowly, she turned her head. And there stood Prince Longyu, arms crossed. Sharp eyes locked on her like a hawk ready to pounce. Who are you, really? His tone was calm but edged with steel. Oh no. Caught again? I can't keep making stuff up forever. Under the moonlight in the royal palace garden, a cool breeze stirred the delicate petals of the flowers. Lalin, who had barely survived Prince Longyu's piercing questions earlier, wandered through the courtyard with a long, weary sigh. Ugh, why do I feel like I'm a suspect in some detective game? She grumbled inwardly, hugging her arms as if shielding herself from invisible suspicion. Suddenly, a voice called from behind. Under the moonlight, in the royal palace garden, a cool, why are you wandering here alone? Lalin jumped in shock, spinning around, only to see Baixian, the ever-playful guard, standing there with his arms crossed, and that familiar mischievous grin tugging at his lips. Seriously, does this guy walk without making any sound or what? She thought, her heart still thumping. Baixian let out a soft chuckle. I've been watching you for a while now. You don't seem quite like the others. Or should I say, you're much stranger than the others. Lalin blinked rapidly, trying to play dumb. Me? Strange? Under the pale glow of the moon, Baixian gave a sly grin, and began counting on his fingers. 1. You use strange words I've never heard. 2. You seem completely clueless about palace rules, yet somehow, you escape punishment every time. Oh, why does this sound like he's about to arrest me? Lalin's heart skipped a beat. Baixian stepped closer, his sharp eyes glinting playfully. 3. You're not just some ordinary woman, are you? Lalin flailed her hands frantically. No. I'm the most ordinary woman you could ever meet. So ordinary, I'm practically invisible. Baixian burst into laughter. Really? Ordinary? An ordinary woman? Who dares to talk back to Prince Longyu? And kicks prisoners clear across the cell into the wall? Ugh. Did I make myself too suspicious already? Lalin groaned inwardly, wishing she could vanish into thin air. But before she could cook up another excuse, Baixian leaned in slightly, whispering near her ear. Relax. I won't report you. Not yet, anyway. Lalin let out a shaky laugh, her face turning red. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Baixian just winked and strolled away, leaving Lalin standing there, clutching her chest. Great, now I have to deal with a nosy guard on top of the cold prince. How am I supposed to survive this world? Lalin laughed nervously, scratching her cheek. Well, I guess you could say I'm just a little lucky. Hehehe. Baixian raised an eyebrow, his grin widening into something positively devilish. Oh, I see, well then. I'll be sure to watch over you closely. Let's see just how long your luck lasts. Oh no. Lalin's smile froze while her heart hammered wildly. Not only do I have to deal with cold-faced Prince Longyu, now I've got this nosy, smirking guard tailing me too? How am I supposed to survive this ancient world? As Baixian turned to stroll away, humming cheerfully, Lalin plopped down onto the garden bench, with a sigh so heavy it could sink a boat. Ugh, why does this ice sky life feel more like a survival game than a romance? The next morning, Lalin tried her very best to act like the most ordinary palace made possible. But alas, fate clearly wasn't on her side. Hey, watch out! Lalin yelped as she saw another maid wobbling toward her with a tray of food. Crash! The tray slipped, sending bowls and plates scattering all over the floor. I'm so sorry. The flustered maid squeaked, her face pale with guilt. Lalin quickly bent down to help pick everything up, mumbling under her breath. Ugh, this feels exactly like one of those dramatic second lead scenes. Suddenly, a familiar teasing voice floated from behind. Second lead? Dramatic scene? Lalin froze. Slowly, she turned her head, only to find Baixian standing there, arms crossed, amusement dancing in his eyes. Oh no, why does it have to be this nosy guy again? Lalin's heart thumped, as she forced a wobbly smile, praying the earth would just swallow Her up right then and there. Oh no. No, no, no. I blurted it out again. Lalin's mind was screaming, as Byaxian crouched down beside her, a playful smirk tugging at his lips. You're speaking oddly again. Or could it be you're hiding something? His eyes sparkled with curiosity, making Lalin's heart pound wildly. Lalin forced a stiff smile, trying to cover up. It's just a saying from my homeland. That's all it means. Unexpected chaos. Byaxian chuckled, tilting his head. Oh really? Then I should go study this dramatic scene from your homeland sometime. Oh no. Why did I have to slip up again? Lalin silently wailed inside, while outwardly she just kept smiling nervously. That night, under the moonlight, Byaxian sat casually atop the palace roof, gazing at the glowing full moon. His usual grin softened, as he murmured to himself, that girl, she's truly strange. He replayed every moment. He had watched Lalin, the odd phrases, the gestures that sometimes felt like they didn't belong to this world. Could she be? A slow smile curved his lips. The more I watch her, the more interesting she becomes. At the side palace of Princess Lalin, Lalin stood up straight, forcing a sweet smile on her face, but inside she was screaming, with anxiety and suspicion. Ugh. Why, oh why, do I have to run into the main villainess of the story? She swallowed hard, her heart thudding loudly, as she faced Princess Lalin, a young woman whose soft, delicate smile masked the sharp glint of cunning in her eyes. I heard you were appointed as Prince Longyu's personal maid. The princess spoke in a gentle, silky voice, but there was an unmistakable chill beneath it. You must be quite close to His Highness, aren't you? Gah, she's cutting straight to the point. What do I even say? Lalin's mind raced, as she kept up her polite facade, but her brain was screaming. System, cheat code, anyone? Where's the help button when I need it? Lalin frantically waved her hands. And no, Your Highness. I'm just a low-ranking maid. I've never even been close enough to speak directly to the prince. Princess Lalin let out a soft, melodious laugh as she gracefully stepped closer, her perfume faintly sweet and dangerously intoxicating. No need to be so modest, she murmured, eyes glinting with hidden schemes. I simply want you to help me with a small favor. Oh no, oh no, oh no. This is totally the part where the villainous tricks the heroine into becoming her pawn. Lalin's inner alarm bells rang so loudly, she almost thought others could hear them. She straightened up, forcing the most polite smile she could muster, which was starting to twitch at the corners. How can I assist Your Highness? Lalin asked cautiously. The princess's lips curved into a sweet, too sweet, smile. I want you to keep an eye on Prince Longyu for me. Tell me which woman has caught his attention lately. What? She wants me to be a spy? Lalin's mind spun. I think this is not something I should get involved in, she stammered, trying her best to wriggle out of the mess. But it was too late. Crap. If I refuse, she might get rid of me before I even find a way back to my own world. Lalin's heart pounded in her chest, her mind racing for any escape. But under the weight of that soft threat, she could only clench her fists, force down the panic, and bite her lower lip. I will try to observe for Your Highness, Lalin murmured, her voice trembling slightly. Princess Lalin let out a soft, satisfied laugh before finally releasing her. Good girl. I knew you were clever. I trust we'll work together splendidly. Lalin managed a tight, shaky smile, but inside, she was practically screaming. Oh no. I've officially become a pawn in the villainess's scheme. How did I end up like this? At the third prince's residence, after returning from Princess Lalin's palace, Lalin paced back and forth anxiously, her hands clasped behind her back, as she bit her lower lip. What do I do if I actually spy for her? The cold-faced prince will find out, and I'll lose my head. But if I refuse, Princess Lalin will crush me like a bug. Ugh. Suddenly, a deep, familiar voice floated from behind. You seem unusually restless. Ah. Lalin jumped, spinning around, only to find Byaxian, the ever-watchful, ever-smirking bodyguard, standing there with arms crossed, eyes sharp as a hawk. He raised a brow, a teasing glint in his gaze. Are you hiding something? Or, perhaps you're planning something suspicious? Oh no. Byaxian's starting to suspect me too? I'm so doomed. Lalin forced out a dry, awkward laugh, waving her hands frantically. Haha. No, no, no. I was just, wondering what to eat for dinner tonight. Byaxian chuckled softly, Worried about dinner? And making such a serious face? You really are an interesting one. Lalin's smile froze on her face, her heart screaming inside. How am I supposed to survive these palace schemes without blowing my cover?
Chapter 4. Lalin was framed.
The once quiet night in the imperial palace was now in utter chaos. Rumors spread like wildfire. The forbidden poison has been stolen. Lalin, who had been hiding in a corner, sighing over her tangled mess with Princess Lian, hadn't even figured out an escape plan before fate threw another disaster her way. Suddenly, a loud proclamation echoed across the palace walls. Whoever stole the poison shall face the harshest punishment. Any suspicious individual must be arrested immediately. Lalin shivered, goosebumps crawling up her arms. Who in their right mind would steal something that dangerous? She whispered to herself, clutching her arms tightly, heart pounding. But just as she peeked cautiously from behind the pillar, there she is. That suspicious maid. Someone shouted. Lin's eyes widened in horror as she saw a group of armed guards charging straight at her. Wait. You've got the wrong person. I didn't do anything, she cried, flailing her arms desperately. But it was too late. Rough hands grabbed her arms, dragging her forcefully into the palace courtyard. A crowd quickly gathered, whispers filling the air like a storm. Is it true? Did that maid really steal the poison? She's new, isn't she? Maybe she's a spy. Lalin felt her knees weaken as she was forced to kneel in the center of the crowd, dozens of eyes boring into her like sharp daggers. Oh no. What is this, a false accusation episode? She could practically hear the dramatic background music from her favorite dramas blaring in her head. In the grand ceremonial courtyard of the imperial palace, tension crackled in the air like an approaching storm. Princess Lian appeared, her elegant smile tinged with undeniable satisfaction. So, you dared to steal the forbidden poison of the palace. Tell me, who were you planning to poison? What? I'm the villain now. Lalin screamed internally, her eyes wide with disbelief. Wait, this is insane. I've never touched any poison. Lalin protested, waving her hands desperately. Princess Lian gracefully turned and nodded toward an official. The man stepped forward, holding up a cloth pouch with slow, deliberate movements. He opened it. Inside was a jet black ceramic vial. This is the missing poison, the official announced sternly. And it was found inside your room. Lalin's jaw dropped. What? No, I swear. I've never even seen that bottle in my life. This is a setup, totally a setup. Her mind raced. By the side, by Xin, the playful yet sharp-eyed bodyguard, frowned and stepped forward. I've never seen her touch anything like that. Do you have any other proof besides just this? Princess Lian let out a delicate sigh, her lips curling into a cold smile. If she's innocent, why was it found in her room? The whispers in the crowd grew louder, filling the courtyard like an echoing wave. Lalin felt sweat bead on her forehead, her heart pounding. Oh no, how do I get out of this mess? And then, Prince Longyu arrived, his imposing figure cutting through the tension like a blade. His face was calm, cold, unreadable, but his presence made everyone fall silent. What's happening here? His low voice carried authority that made even the boldest official lower his gaze. Princess Lian stepped forward with a carefully crafted sigh. Your Highness, this maid was found with the forbidden poison in her quarters. I fear she may harbor ill intentions toward the palace. Lalin whipped her head to look at the cold, unreadable face of the prince, her heart racing out of control. Oh no, am I going to be executed? Prince Longyu slowly scanned the crowd, then locked eyes on her. Finally, he said, his voice sharp and clear. I will handle this myself. Under the moonlit palace, Lalin wandered through the stone paths of Prince Longyu's residence, her heart still pounding from barely escaping the poison theft accusation. Ugh, even when I do absolutely nothing, trouble still comes to find me. How long am I supposed to survive like this? She was muttering to herself when suddenly, several soldiers rushed in, surrounding the dark figure. But it was no use. The shadow darted like a phantom, dodging every blow. With a flick of the sleeve, glittering poison needles shot out, dropping 2 more soldiers in a heartbeat. Oh no. This is a full-blown assassination attempt. Lalin's mind spun wildly, panic rising. Her instincts screamed for her to hide or run, but her feet wouldn't budge. Wait, aren't I supposed to be the plucky heroine in this mess? What would a drama heroine do? Whack. Acting purely on instinct. She whipped her arm up, clenched her fist, and swung her leg in a sharp kick, sending the black-clad intruder flying straight into a wooden pillar. The entire courtyard fell into stunned silence. Without thinking, Lalin lunged forward, twisting her body with surprising agility. Her hand shot up, smacking away a poison needle that was about to graze a soldier's cheek. What the heck did I just do? Lalin's heart pounded wildly, her arms frozen midair. Heavy footsteps echoed across the courtyard, steady and commanding. Prince Longyu appeared, his dark robes fluttering slightly as he stepped forward. The soldiers immediately bowed deeply, but his sharp eyes scanned the scene coolly, until they landed squarely on Lalin. You. His voice was calm, but his gaze drilled into her. You're the one who fought off the assassin, aren't you? Lalin jumped, waving her hands frantically. No, your highness. It was a burst of divine strength. Heaven must have helped me out. Xian, standing beside the prince, let out a soft chuckle. That so-called burst of divine strength sure kicked an assassin flying several meters, didn't it? Prince Longyu's sharp gaze remained fixed on her, calm on the surface, but in the depths of his eyes was a storm of suspicion. Who exactly is this woman? Later that night, inside Prince Longyu's study, Lalin sat tensely across from the imposing figure of the prince. The room was silent except for the faint clink as he set his teacup down. His dark eyes never left her face. I'll ask you one more time. His voice was low, firm. Where did you learn to fight like that? Lalin blinked rapidly. Oh no. If I say I learned Muay Thai and Taekwondo back in my world, will he even understand what I'm talking about? She forced a shaky smile, sweat dotting her forehead. Your highness. Perhaps it's just pure instinct. Maybe the heavens gifted me in a moment of crisis. Prince Longyu leaned forward slightly, his piercing gaze sharp enough to cut through stone. Heaven's gift, or something you're still hiding from me? My lord. I just have good survival instincts. That's all. Lalin forced a shaky, sheepish smile, doing her absolute best to look as harmless and ordinary as possible. But Prince Longyu, oh, he wasn't buying it one bit. You move with the precision of someone trained in the martial world, he said slowly, voice edged with suspicion. Even the palace guards couldn't react in time, yet you dodged the attack and countered effortlessly. His sharp gaze narrowed, like he was trying to see right through her soul. Lin gulped hard. Oh no. I overdid it, didn't I? Prince Longyu took a slow, deliberate step closer. Lalin instinctively shuffled back, heart pounding in her chest. Tell me. His voice was low, teasingly smooth, eyes gleaming with quiet challenge. Are you a disciple of some hidden martial sect? Lin gave a dry, awkward laugh, frantically waving her hands. Yes. No. The Heavenly Mount Tai sect. Your Highness. Xian, who had been listening quietly on the side, suddenly burst out laughing. I've traveled across many realms, yet I've never once heard of this so-called Heavenly Mount Tai sect. You know. Oh no. I just made that up on the spot. Lalin's mind was screaming, her heart thundering in her chest. Prince Longyu, however, said nothing. His icy gaze stayed locked on her, sharp and unrelenting, as if he could peel away every flimsy layer of her lies. Desperate, Lalin tried to wave the moment away. Really, your highness? I was just lucky. If it weren't for sheer luck, I would have been skewered already. The prince didn't immediately reply. He simply narrowed his eyes further, studying her intently. Finally, he spoke, his voice calm, deep, and chillingly certain. You're hiding something from me. Lin jolted so hard, she nearly jumped out of her own skin. Oh no. Is he about to figure it out? The still night hung heavy over the maiden's quarters. Lalin lay tossing and turning on the hard wooden bed, her eyes wide open, mind spinning in restless confusion. What did I just do back there? She thought, lifting her hands to stare at them, trembling slightly. Her mind replayed the scene, dodging poison darts, landing that flawless kick that sent the assassin flying. Normally, I only have a bit of basic Muay Thai and Taekwondo training, but why did it feel like my body just moved on its own? Like some power surged through me, something I've never had before? Tentatively, Lalin shifted on the bed and threw a light punch into the air. Whoosh! The air around her seemed to ripple slightly, as if stirred by an invisible force. Wait, don't tell me. Her heart raced. Did I somehow gain mysterious powers when I crossed into this world? The next morning, at the Imperial training grounds. Who exactly are you? Prince Longyu's voice was cold as steel, his sharp gaze locking onto Lalin with the precision of a hawk. Lin jolted, waving her hands frantically. My lord, I'm just a normal maid. Really? I swear. A normal maid? Byaxian raised an eyebrow, his usual playful smirk curling on his lips. Funny, because last night, I saw you send an assassin flying into a pillar without breaking a sweat. Lin swallowed hard. Oh no. I've totally become the center of attention now. Prince Longyu's piercing gaze didn't waver. Slowly, he stepped closer. His voice low and deliberate. Only someone well-trained in martial arts can control their body to that degree. A bead of sweat slid down Lin's temple. If I don't find a way out of this palace soon, I might seriously end up as some royal lab rat. In the hidden chamber of the Imperial Palace, Princess Sufei gazed at Lin with sharp, evaluating eyes before the corners of her lips curled into a faint, knowing smile. You possess latent martial power. It's possible. You might be one of the chosen ones. Huh, chosen one? Lalin's face tightened in disbelief. What kind of plotline am I stuck in now? I have a proposition for you. Princess Sufei spoke slowly, her voice soft but full of weight. If you wish to survive in this palace and uncover the truth about yourself, you must go train at a hidden martial sect. What? You will journey to the Black Dragon sect and train until you can control the power within you. Lin's eyes widened, heart pounding. They want me to become a martial arts disciple? This is officially turning me into a full-blown wuxia heroine. Princess Sufei raised an eyebrow, a teasing challenge in her tone. Well? Or do you prefer staying here, becoming an easy target for those who are already watching you? Lalin clenched her fists, taking a deep breath. Alright, if I want to survive and find my way home, I have no choice but to train. Very well, Your Highness. I'll go to the Black Dragon sect and learn martial arts.
Chapter 5. Lalin accidentally became a martial arts disciple.
After days of travel, Lalin finally stood before the legendary Black Dragon sect, a martial arts sanctuary said to gather top-tier warriors from all across the lands. Whoa, this is basically a real-life martial arts academy. She was so thrilled, she forgot how exhausted she was. Her eyes darted everywhere, watching disciples training with swords, leaping gracefully through the air, and even slicing paper with pure chi energy. So cool. If I can master this, I'll go back to Thailand and become a Muay Thai champion for sure, she thought, excitement bubbling inside her. But before she could let her imagination run any further, stop right there. A sharp voice rang out. The gatekeeper soldier glared at her, hand on the hilt of his blade. What business do you have here? The Black Dragon sect does not welcome outsiders. Lin flinched, forcing a sheepish smile onto her face. I am here by invitation from. But before Lin could even finish her sentence, a figure in pristine white robes strode calmly out from the main hall. His aura was so commanding that everyone immediately bowed low. Respect to Master Byrong. The disciples chorused in unison. Whoa, this must be the Grand Master, the top-tier martial arts genius. Lalin's eyes sparkled with awe. She imagined him as the ultimate hidden master. Wise, powerful, and probably able to flick people across the courtyard with one finger. Byrong swept his sharp gaze across the crowd and stopped on her. His voice was calm but carried undeniable authority. You are the new disciple sent here, yes? Lalin gave a nervous, lopsided smile. Yes, that's me. The Grand Master nodded slightly. Then you must first pass a test. If you cannot, you will return where you came from. Wait, what? There's a test? Lalin's heart pounded in her chest. In the Black Dragon sect's testing ground, a crowd of disciples gathered, whispering excitedly. Lalin stood stiffly in the center, her palms sweaty as she darted nervous glances around. The trial has 3 stages, Master Byrong announced, his voice echoing through the courtyard. First, you must pass through the stone blade gauntlet. Second, you must withstand 10 strikes from senior disciple's wooden sword. And third, you must spar with me. Wait, hold up. The last part sounds like total overkill. Lalin's inner voice screamed. Before she could even protest, a senior disciple stepped forward and handed her a wooden sword. Ready? He asked calmly. Not ready at all. But there's no turning back now. Clenching her jaw, Lin gripped the sword tightly and dashed forward into the obstacle course. Surprisingly, her body responded smoothly. She ducked under swinging stone blades, twisted past falling pillars, and leapt over traps as if she had been trained for this her whole life. Her heart raced. What is this? How am I even doing this? A wave of astonished murmurs rippled across the training ground. Disciples gaped wide-eyed at Lin, who had miraculously breezed through 2 of the Black Dragon sects' toughest trials without breaking a sweat. Even Master Bairong, the cold, legendary figure at the heart of the sect, raised one eyebrow, a rare flicker of surprise crossing his stoic face. Now came the final test. Facing off against Master Bairong himself. You have talent, Bairong said calmly, flicking his sleeve as a surge of chi rippled around him, stirring the air like an invisible storm. His presence was overwhelming, a pressure that made even seasoned disciples tense up. Hui, chi powers already. Lalin's heart thudded in her chest. She instinctively took a step back, clutching the wooden sword tightly, breath shallow. Okay, Lalin, you got this, right? But before she could even make a move, out slipped the words from her mouth, completely unfiltered. Master, you look freaking awesome. The entire courtyard fell dead silent. Bairong blinked, his sharp gaze flicking to her. What did you just say? Oh no. I forgot to filter my mouth. Lalin screamed internally, frozen in place. The disciples around the training ground gaped, in stunned silence. And then, slowly, chuckles began to rise, until the entire courtyard burst into laughter. Ha ha ha, did she just praise Master Bairong to his face? Unbelievable. Who dares call the ice-faced master awesome like that? Even Bairong, the legendary figure of cold precision, visibly paused. His hand hovered midair, before he coughed lightly, a faint twitch at the corner of his lips. You, he finally said, his voice smooth but tinged with dry amusement, are truly peculiar. He studied Lin for a moment, her wide eyes, her awkward grin, her sweaty grip on the wooden sword. Before giving a small nod, I shall accept you as a disciple, he declared. Lin's eyes lit up. Really? But, Bairong added calmly, you will start by cleaning the sect's library. Huh, Lalin's jaw dropped. I went through hellish trials. Just to become the janitor? She held internally. Inside the third prince's study, leaning casually against the polished wooden pillar, Long Yu clenched a folded fan in his hand. So tightly, he didn't even realize it. His sharp gaze fixed on the letter he'd just received from Princess Sufei, a new disciple at Black Dragon sect, named Lalin. He muttered under his breath, brow slightly furrowed. She passed Bairong's test. Standing beside him, Xian, ever the cheeky shadow, couldn't resist a sly grin. Your Highness, you seem rather concerned about her. Don't you? He teased lightly. Long Yu shot him a cool glance. I'm not concerned, he replied flatly, though his eyes remained locked on the letter. But deep inside, his thoughts raced. Will she survive? Can she endure the world of blades and shadows? And most dangerously of all, why do I care so much? At Black Dragon sect. Ow. When will I finally get to hold a real sword? Lalin groaned as she dragged a broom across the endless rows of the sect's library. Instead of intense sword training or flashy martial arts, she'd been promoted to janitor ever since Master Bairong had accepted her as a disciple. Keep whining, and you won't even finish sweeping before tomorrow, a teasing voice chimed in. Lin's head snapped up, only to see a familiar figure in sleek black robes, arms crossed with a smirk. Xian, the mischievous bodyguard of the third prince. What the heck? Why are you here? She hissed under her breath. Xian grinned broadly. Oh, just inspecting the sect, nothing more. Lalin narrowed her eyes suspiciously. Liar. You're totally here spying on me, aren't you? Chuckling softly, Xian leaned closer. Why would I do that, unless, of course, you want me to be concerned for you? Lin rolled her eyes so hard she nearly saw stars. Ugh. He's as annoying as ever. Atop a mountain ridge overlooking the sect, draped in a black cloak, the third prince, Long Yu, stood silently beneath the shadows of a tree. His sharp eyes gazed downward, fixed intently on the training grounds below, or more precisely, on one particular figure sweeping the courtyard. Lalin, will she be able to handle the training? He remained there, unmoving, observing her for a long moment. From this distance, he watched as Lin burst into an animated argument with Xian, waving her arms and pouting, her lively spirit practically radiating from where she stood. Without realizing it, Long Yu let out the faintest exhale, a breath of relief he didn't even know he was holding. Then, with a swift turn, he averted his gaze. I was merely passing by. It's not as if I'm worried about her. Nightfall at the martial training grounds. After finishing her chores, Lin crept quietly onto the practice grounds, clutching a wooden sword tightly. Okay, let's see if I can replicate the moves I used back when I fought off that assassin, she thought, determined. She raised the sword, adjusting her stance carefully. But before she could take her next breath, whoosh, a dark figure dropped from the rooftop, landing gracefully before her. Lin yelped, nearly falling backward. From within the shadows, a low, cold voice echoed. Do you really believe flailing around like that will make you a true disciple of the sect? Lin's eyes widened in horror. Third Prince? She instinctively took a step back. Wait, what are you doing here? Long Yu didn't answer right away. His sharp gaze swept her from head to toe, eyes gleaming faintly under the moonlight. Did you think that randomly swinging a sword would transform you into a top warrior? He said, a faint smirk tugging at his lips. Under the moonlit night, the chill of the air hung heavy around them. Lalin stared, wide-eyed, at the wooden sword Long Yu had just tossed to her. Crap, I've been caught red-handed. Training like an amateur. Long Yu let out a quiet sigh, folding his arms. I'll teach you. Lin's jaw practically hit the ground. Huh? He raised a brow, cool as ever. Or, do you prefer scrubbing floors for the rest of your life? Without hesitation, Lalin scrambled to snatch up the sword. Teach me, then. But, please don't go too hard on me. Your Highness. Long Yu let out a faint, almost inaudible chuckle. The kind that made her heart skip unexpectedly. Don't expect to survive easily, he murmured, stepping forward with measured grace. His silhouette under the moon was enough to make any heart pound. At Black Dragon Sect, after hours of grueling training with Prince Long Yu, Lalin collapsed onto the training ground, gasping for air, drenched in sweat. Oh my god. This cold prince is tougher than my old Muay Thai coach back at the gym. Long Yu sat gracefully nearby, his gaze cool and unwavering. You'll need to build more endurance, he remarked, voice calm but firm. Lin rolled her eyes inwardly. Easy for you to say, Your Highness. But before she could throw a cheeky retort, a voice called out from across the courtyard. Junior Lin, the Grandmaster, Bairong, has summoned you. What? Lalin shot up to her feet in a panic, drawing a slightly surprised glance from Long Yu. In the secret library of Black Dragon Sect, Grandmaster Bairong stood tall, bathed in the flickering glow of candlelight, surrounded by towering stacks of ancient scrolls and books. Have you ever seen this scroll before? He asked quietly, gesturing toward a carefully preserved parchment, resting atop a jade stand. Lalin furrowed her brows, curiosity prickling her skin. She hesitated, then reached out and gently unrolled the fragile scroll. As her eyes skimmed the faded ink, her breath caught, her heart thudded hard. Wait a second. This drawing, this symbol. This is the exact same image from the painting I fell into when I crossed worlds. The scroll depicted the Gate of Destiny, said to be a bridge linking two realms, two timelines, and on the next page, there was an ancient record detailing a prophecy about a traveler from afar who would alter the fate of the land. What is this? Does this mean my crossing wasn't just a random accident? Lalin's hands trembled slightly as she clutched the scroll. Grandmaster Bairong watched her with piercing eyes, his face solemn. You are not the first to come through time, he said slowly. What? Lalin's voice cracked in disbelief, her mind spinning. Inside the secret library of Black Dragon Sect. When I was young, Grandmaster Bairong began, his voice low and heavy. I read the ancient records. They spoke of a woman from another world, one who crossed realms decades ago. Lalin felt her heart pound harder and harder. And, what happened to her? She whispered, her throat suddenly dry. Bairong slowly shook his head. No one knows. Lalin swallowed hard. Oh no, am I tangled up in something huge now? But one thing is certain, Bairong continued, his eyes sharp and serious. She did not come here by accident. Something, or someone, brought her here. Lalin shivered, goosebumps crawling up her arms. Something? What do you mean, Grandmaster? With a sigh, Bairong reached for another scroll, unrolling it with delicate fingers. The ancient texts speak of this. Only those with a special power, one connected to the fate of the entire kingdom, can cross the dimensions. Wait. Does this mean I didn't just drop in for a vacation, but I have an actual mission to complete? Lalin's mind spun wildly, the weight of it pressing down on her chest. Taking a shaky breath, she asked in a small voice, What should I do next? Grandmaster, if you wish to uncover the truth, Grandmaster Byrong spoke in his calm, grave voice. You must seek the key of dimensions. And remember, Lalin, you cannot do this alone. Lalin's eyes widened. The key of dimensions? This just keeps sounding more and more like a fantasy RPG. She clenched her fist slightly, feeling the weight of her strange destiny pressing closer. Meanwhile, atop the mountain ridge, overlooking Black Dragon Sect, Prince Longyu stood, arms crossed, his figure outlined against the pale silver of the moonlight. His sharp eyes gazed silently down at the sect, shadows flickering in his mind. She carries something I cannot yet comprehend, he murmured under his breath. In his hand, he tightly held a torn fragment of ancient parchment, something he had stumbled upon during his secretive visits. To watch over her from afar, on that fragile scrap were inscribed the chilling words. The one who crosses time shall determine the fate of the land. Longyu's jaw tightened, though he would never admit it. Even to himself, he knew, deep inside, he was already worrying about her far more than a cold, detached prince should.
Chapter 6. Lalin begins her true martial arts training.
At the Black Dragon Sect, after learning that her time travel might not have been an accident, Lalin clenched her fists tightly, determination burning in her chest. I must master the power inside me, and uncover the truth of the one who crossed time before me. But before she could even think about grand destinies or ancient secrets, she had one very real, very immediate problem. Surviving the brutal training of the Black Dragon Sect. Standing tall in front of her, Grandmaster Byrong spoke in a voice that brooked no argument. You must learn to control your chi within 1 month. If you fail, you will not be allowed to touch the advanced techniques. 1 month? Are you kidding me? Lalin's heart sank, and she felt the urge to wail at the sky. But deep down, she knew, if she didn't push herself now, she would have no chance of surviving what was coming. Her fists clenched tighter, and a tiny spark flickered in her palm. She stared down at it in awe. Maybe, just maybe, I can really do this. The training begins. Sit and meditate. Alright, easy enough. Lalin crossed her legs confidently, taking a deep breath just as the instructor had taught. Now, control your chi. Got it. I'll just pretend this is like yoga. Half an hour passed. A senior disciple walked by, frowning. Junior Lalin, you haven't moved your chi even a little. Wait, what? I've been sitting still for ages. Surely something's happening. Determined, she squeezed her eyes shut and focused. In, out, in, out. Slowly, her body relaxed, until her stomach rumbled so loudly, it echoed across the courtyard. Oh no. Instead of awakening my chi, all I've done is make myself hungrier. Around her, a few disciples stifled their laughter. Even the stern-faced Byrong raised an eyebrow in mild surprise. Lalin covered her face, cheeks burning. This is going to be a long, long month. A night full of mysteries. After a long day of grueling training, Lalin couldn't quiet her restless mind. She found herself wandering back to the hidden library, her heart pounding with curiosity. I can't stop thinking about that key of dimensions Byrong mentioned. There has to be more to this. One by one, she carefully opened the ancient scrolls and dusty tomes, her fingers trembling slightly as she traced the faded characters. Suddenly, her eyes caught a peculiar line. When the moon loses its light, the key of dimensions shall appear. What does that mean? The moon loses its light? Could it be talking about a lunar eclipse? Frantically, she read on. The key connecting two realms is hidden in a place untouched by moonlight. A place without moonlight. Could there be a secret chamber? A hidden valley? Or maybe a cave? Her heart raced as the pieces slowly began to fit together. She closed the book, gripping its cover tightly. No matter what, I have to find that place, if I ever want to go home. This is my only chance. As Lin stood frozen in place, the ancient scroll still clutched tightly behind her back. A cold voice sliced through the heavy silence. What are you doing here? Ah, Lalin nearly jumped out of her skin, whipping around to find Prince Longyu, standing tall with his arms crossed, sharp eyes fixed intently on her. Oh no, I'm doomed. Lalin's mind raced wildly. He stepped closer, gaze flickering to the edge of the scroll peeking from behind her dot. What information are you searching for? Lalin let out a dry, awkward laugh, quickly hiding the scroll behind her. Oh, just looking for a little bedtime reading. Your Highness. Longyu raised an eyebrow, his lips curling into a subtle smirk. Bedtime reading? On the topic of time and dimensions? That's quite the curious hobby you have. Crap. Of course. Mr. Ice Prince isn't stupid. Lalin felt sweat trickling down her back. He fixed her with a piercing stare, his voice dropping lower. You're hiding something, aren't you? Lalin swallowed hard, heart hammering in her chest. Should I tell him the truth? Should I confess I'm from another world? Or will that only get me locked up again? At the dark moon night, Black Dragon sect. The night was pitch black, the moon veiled behind thick clouds, and a bone-chilling wind swept across the empty training grounds. Lalin stood alone, hugging herself as she looked up at the vast, starless sky. The air feels strange tonight. A shiver ran down her spine. Am I just overthinking? Or is something really off? Shaking her head to clear the worry, she turned back toward the main hall. But just as she took a step, whoosh, a shadow flashed across the rooftop. What? Lalin's eyes widened in alarm. Someone sneaking into the sect. Her heart raced as she squinted into the darkness, tracking the figure's movement. The shadow moved swiftly, silent as a phantom, darting toward Prince Longyu's quarters. No. This is totally an assassination scene. Lalin's breath caught in her throat. She clenched her fists, mind racing. Do I warn him? Do I go myself? What if I screw this up? Oh no, oh no. But before she could think further, her feet had already moved. She sprinted after the shadow without hesitation, adrenaline surging through her veins. Hang on, Prince Iceface, I'm coming. At Prince Longyu's guest hall, Longyu sat quietly, eyes calmly scanning the ancient scrolls before him. The flickering lantern cast a warm glow, reflecting his cold, stoic expression onto the surface of his untouched tea. His usual unshakable presence filled the room. Swish! Suddenly, the sharp hiss of a blade slicing through the air shattered the stillness. His usual unshakable presence filled the room. In a blink, a gleaming sword shot straight toward the prince's throat. But before the steel could find its mark, crash! A figure tackled him out of the way. Lalin. She rolled across the floor, springing up to deliver a spinning kick. That sent the assassin hurtling into the wall. Longyu's eyes widened slightly, a flicker of surprise breaking through his icy composure. That girl again? Your Highness. Are you alright? Lalin spun around, panting. But instead of answering, Longyu just stared at her, his sharp eyes narrowing. That movement just now. She's too fast. His mind raced. Not ordinary at all. Crash. The assassin, snarling, pushed off the wall and lunged again. This time aiming directly at Lalin. Smack. With nothing but her bare palm, Lalin struck down on the assassin's knee, hard. Arg! The assassin held, crumpling to the ground in agony. Longyu stood silently, eyes sharp as a hawk. What sort of technique was that? He asked in a low voice, though his gaze was heavy with suspicion and curiosity. Lalin froze. She hastily slapped on her best innocent face. It was just pure luck. All luck. Your Highness. Longyu narrowed his eyes. Luck? Footsteps approached by Xian, the playful bodyguard, arrived just in time to witness the scene, and burst out laughing. Ha! Luck, she says. Luck that knocks an assassin flat on his back. That's a new one. Lalin swallowed hard, her smile twitching. Oh no, did I overdo it again? I'm digging my own grave here. After interrogating the assassin, who was still groaning and clutching his ribs, they discovered he had been sent by the shadowy forces tied to the royal court. But his true target remained a mystery. I believe this is connected to the secret plots inside the palace, Longyu murmured, his voice low and cold as his sharp gaze turned back toward Lalin. His piercing eyes locked onto her like a hunter cornering its prey. But what concerns me more is, who exactly are you? Sweat dripped down Lalin's back. Oh no, this is it. I'm in big trouble now. At the Black Dragon martial arts sect, after the assassination attempt, Lin had become the center of attention across the sect. Everywhere she went, whispers followed, disciples murmuring about her unusually sharp combat skills, curious gazes trailing after her every step. And of course, Prince Longyu never let her out of his sight, his cold, calculating gaze forever shadowing her every move. But surprisingly, the one who seemed most attached to her wasn't the icy prince. It was Xian, the charming, playful royal guard who always found excuses to come bother her. Hey, little martial sister. Xian drawled as he leaned casually against a post near the training ground, flashing his signature grin. Heard you kicked an assassin into next week. How about showing me a few moves? Lalin huffed, crossing her arms. Ugh, why is this guy always sticking around like a cat sniffing fish? She shot him a glare. Sorry, senior brother. But I'm kinda busy right now. Trying not to get killed. Xian only chuckled, eyes glinting mischievously. Don't be shy. Lin, everyone here knows you're a rising star. Even His Highness can't stop watching you. Laylin's face went red instantly. What? That cold-faced prince watching me? No way. She spun around. And sure enough, she caught sight of Long Yu standing not far away, arms folded, his gaze sharp and unreadable. Oh no, this is getting way too intense, Lalin thought, clutching her head in panic. Afternoon training. Junior sister Lin, grip the sword tighter, one of the senior disciples instructed, adjusting Lin's hand carefully. As she practiced the basics, Lin nodded earnestly, focusing all her attention on the wooden practice sword. Okay, steady, focus, no distractions. Whoosh! Suddenly, a figure dropped down beside her in a flash. Training so hard, I'm starting to get worried about you, Xian said with a sly grin, tapping his own practice sword lightly against hers. Maybe you need some private lessons from me. Lalin rolled her eyes so hard they nearly fell out. Xian, why are you here bothering me? Xian let out a low chuckle, his eyes gleaming with playful mischief. Because I just can't resist being near you, junior sister. Around them, whispers rippled across the training ground like wildfire. Whoa, is guard Xian flirting with the maidservant of Prince Long Yu? Did you see that? He's totally into her. Laylin's face flushed red as she waved her hands frantically. It's not like that. I'm just trying to train. Not far away, standing under the shade of a plum blossom tree, Prince Long Yu watched the scene unfold silently. His cold, sharp eyes narrowed slightly, and his fingers curled tighter around the folded fan in his hand. Xian, you really like to meddle, don't you? He thought, his gaze flicking briefly to Lalin. And you? Why do you always attract chaos like this? This is getting way out of hand. Laylin's face turned bright red as she whipped around to glare at Xian. Stop saying such crazy things. I don't want to be caught up in rumors with you. Xian smirked, tilting his head playfully. Rumors are just rumors. But I was speaking the truth. You know. Lin's eyes widened. What? She flailed her arms in protest, her cheeks burning hotter. Oh no, oh no. This guy is dangerous. How can he joke about stuff like this so casually? After finishing her exhausting day of training, Lalin trudged back toward the guest hall, ready to collapse onto her bed. But before she could even reach the steps, Baixing, the cold, sharp voice sent a chill down her spine. Lalin flinched, turning to see Prince Long Yu standing there, arms crossed, his piercing gaze locked onto Xian, who had followed close behind. What are you doing? Long Yu asked in an icy tone. Xian shrugged lazily, a teasing grin playing on his lips. Just showing my interest in junior sister Lin. Long Yu's eyes narrowed, the air around him turning colder. You mean? Without missing a beat, Xian turned to Lin and declared loudly, I like her, and I intend to pursue her, seriously. The entire courtyard went dead silent. Lin's jaw dropped. What? Xian, are you insane? She stammered, face flushed beet red. But Long Yu remained still, his eyes darkening, the faintest twitch of his brow betraying the storm brewing beneath his calm exterior. You dare? Long Yu's fingers clenched slightly at his sleeve. We'll see just how far you plan to take this, Xian. Laylin's eyes widened in pure panic. What? Hold on a second. When did I ever give permission for this? The entire hall erupted into whispers. Everyone who overheard the bold declaration was utterly stunned. But the one who seemed the least amused was none other than Prince Long Yu. His gaze grew sharper, and the air around him thickened with an intimidating, cold pressure. Xian, still wearing that playful grin, tilted his head slightly. Your Highness, don't you think we should let junior sister Lalin decide for herself? Long Yu's fingers tightened imperceptibly around his folded fan. Heh, what game are you playing? Xian, his voice was low, the edge of a storm lurking within. Xian chuckled softly, eyes sparkling with mischief. If I were truly serious, would your Highness be willing to let her go? Wait. Lalin frantically waved her hands between the two men. There's no need for any choosing here. None at all. But her protests only made the tension grow thicker. The smirking rogue on one side, the cold and calculating prince on the other, and poor Lin caught right in the middle of this sudden storm of rivalries. Long Yu's sharp eyes locked onto Xian, His voice is cold and steady as still water. She doesn't belong to anyone. Xian lifted an eyebrow, the corners of his mouth twitching upward. In a teasing smirk. Oh? Then why? Your Highness. Do you look so displeased? For a fleeting second, Long Yu's expression stiffened. A subtle crack in his icy armor. But he didn't offer a reply. Instead, he turned slightly, voice crisp and commanding. Prepare the horses. We leave at dawn. Lalin blinked, completely thrown off. I'll leave? Go where? Long Yu's eyes flicked toward her. Unwavering. We're returning to the capital. What? Lin practically shrieked, jaw dropping. Xian clapped a hand dramatically to his chest, pretending to swoon. Oh my, Your Highness. Is this your bold new strategy? Making her travel with you, so no one else can get close? But Long Yu didn't take the bait. Without so much as a glance back, he turned and strode away, his long silhouette disappearing into the shadowed corridor, leaving behind a tense, thick atmosphere that pressed heavy on everyone's chest. Lin stood frozen, heart pounding, mind spinning in circles. Wait, what just happened? Why am I suddenly being dragged back to the capital? And, wait a minute, is he seriously jealous? Dizzy beating heart. The journey back to the capital had officially begun. Prince Long Yu's grand procession rolled out from the Black Dragon sect, banners fluttering, armored guards riding in formation. Lalin, who still hadn't fully recovered from yesterday's chaotic whirlwind, found herself perched awkwardly on horseback right beside the icy prince himself. Behind them, Xian, ever the grinning troublemaker, rode his horse with lazy ease, his sharp eyes glinting with amusement. Isn't this a bit too close, Your Highness? Xian teased, casting a mischievous glance at Long Yu. Or are you afraid our little Lalin here might run off to sit with me instead? Long Yu shot him a brief, cutting look, his voice as cool as ever. I'm making sure she doesn't fall off the horse. Really? Xian chuckled softly. Because from here, it looks a lot more like you just don't want me near her. Lalin, sandwiched awkwardly between the two, groaned internally. Hello? Did anyone ask me how I feel about this? I'm not some prize to fight over. She tried to shift slightly in the saddle, cheeks burning, only for Long Yu's hand to dart out instinctively, steadying her by the waist. Careful. His voice was low, almost a whisper. Lin's heart did a traitorous little flip. No, don't go acting cool right now. During a rest stop by the forest stream, after riding for half a day under the blazing sun, the royal procession finally halted at the edge of a forest near a sparkling brook. Lalin practically jumped off the horse, breathing a sigh of relief. As her aching legs touched the ground, she hurried to the water, kneeling down to splash cool handfuls onto her flushed face. Ah, I can finally breathe. But before she could fully relax, here, a familiar, teasing voice spoke beside her. Lalin looked up to see Xian settling casually next to her, grinning as he offered her a water flask. Tired, little junior sister? Blinking in surprise, Lalin accepted it with a small smile. Thanks, Senior Xian. He leaned in slightly, his smirk playful. Drink up. Tomorrow, I'll personally escort you all the way to the capital on horseback. Before Lin could even process that, a cold, cutting voice sliced through the moment from behind. Xian, that's not your duty. Lalin flinched, turning sharply to find Prince Long Yu standing there, arms crossed, eyes sharp and glinting, his expression the picture of thinly veiled irritation. Xian laughed lightly, flicking his gaze toward the prince. Oh? Or perhaps Your Highness intends to escort her himself. Lalin's face went red in a flash. She waved her hands frantically. No need to escort me. I can ride just fine by myself. Both men, one smirking, one cold and silent, continued to watch her. The tension between them, so thick she could practically slice it with a sword. Under the moonlit night, at the quiet camp by the forest, the campfires crackled softly, casting flickering shadows over the tents. Everyone had long settled into sleep, but Lin found herself restless, sitting alone under the vast sky, gazing up at the countless stars twinkling overhead. Ah, so peaceful. She sighed softly, hugging her knees. If only I could just stay here, and not deal with love triangles or missions or whatever else is waiting in the capital. But just as she was drifting into her own thoughts, crunch, soft footsteps approached behind her. Lalin stiffened slightly before turning, only to freeze when she saw him. Prince Long Yu, the ever-stoic, ever-cool prince, came to sit silently beside her, his sharp profile outlined by the pale moonlight. Still awake? His deep voice broke the quiet, calm but laced with something she couldn't quite name. Lalin swallowed, her heart skipping. "Yes, Your Highness. I couldn't sleep." She forced a laugh, rubbing the back of her neck. "Too much on my mind, I guess." Long Yu's eyes softened, just a fraction as he gazed out at the stars. For a moment. They sat together in companionable silence. The cool night air wrapping around them. The world reduced to just the two of them under the infinite sky. Lalin thought frantically, stealing a glance at the prince's unreadable expression. Without looking at her, Long Yu murmured quietly, almost to himself, "From now on, I will protect you." Lalin's breath caught in her throat. Hold on? What did he just say? Under the stars, the night grew strangely intimate. Lalin hugged her knees tightly, forcing a nervous smile. "I was just thinking, Your Highness," she murmured softly, "thinking about what I might face once we reach the capital." Prince Long Yu remained silent for a heartbeat, his sharp gaze resting on her, unwavering. Then, in a voice low and calm, he said, "As long as you're under my protection, no one will touch you." Lalin's heart jumped. What? Did he just say something totally romantic out of nowhere? She frantically waved her hands. "I don't want you to feel like you have to protect me all the time. I can take care of myself." Long Yu's eyes narrowed slightly, the corner of his mouth tugging into the faintest smirk. Are you worried about me being burdened?" he asked, voice teasingly low. "Or, are you more worried that by Xian will keep trying to get closer to you?" Why does this feel like he's cornering me into confessing something? Lalin panicked inside, her face heating up rapidly. At dawn, as the golden light spilled over the camp, everyone was busy prepping the horses for the next leg of the journey. Lalin adjusted her robes and stepped toward her own horse, only to freeze when a cool, commanding voice cut through the morning air. "Ride with me," Long Yu said flatly. Lin blinked, utterly confused. "Huh? But I already have my own horse." The prince gave her a sidelong glance, voice calm yet unquestionable. "Your horse looks tired. You'll be safer riding with me." "Safer? Or is this just because you don't want me sitting nearby Xian?" Lalin shrieked inside her head, feeling heat creep up her neck. Xian, standing not far away, let out a low laugh. I suppose that means I won't get the chance to sit beside junior sister Lalin today." "Huh?" he teased, flashing his signature mischievous grin. Without another word, Long Yu simply extended his hand toward Lalin. Waiting, Lalin glanced around, only to realize that all the soldiers, disciples, and even some servants were watching intently, eyes sparkling with curiosity. "Oh no, oh no, oh no. I've become the center of attention." She panicked, cheeks flushed. But in the end, she placed her hand in his, and as he effortlessly pulled her up onto the horse in front of him, Lalin couldn't help but feel her heart skip a beat. With a long sigh, Lalin finally reached out and placed her small hand into Long Yu's palm. In one smooth motion, the prince pulled her up to sit right in front of him on the horse, so close she could feel the steady rhythm of his breath behind her. His arm brushed lightly as he adjusted the reins, sending an unexpected shiver down her spine. As the caravan resumed its journey, whispers rippled through the group. Why does His Highness look unusually pleased today?" One soldier murmured. "I've never seen the prince this relaxed." Another whispered. But there was one person who definitely didn't find this amusing. Xian. The playful guard rode alongside, resting his chin lazily on his hand, his smile wide and teasing. Well, looks like I've been thoroughly left out." He called over, eyes twinkling with mischief. "Oh no, this love triangle tension is only getting worse." Lalin wailed silently, burying her red face in her hands.
Chapter 7. Princess Sufei and Lalin. To tease Prince Long Yu.
Imperial capital. The Grand Palace. After a long, bumpy journey, Lalin finally set foot in the glittering capital city. She gasped, eyes wide as saucers, taking in the towering palace walls, the gleaming golden roofs, and the endless courtyards filled with elegantly dressed nobles. "Whoa, this isn't just like in the dramas. This is 10 times bigger," she thought, nearly spinning in circles to see everything. But her excitement didn't last long. Soon, she was led into a lavish inner hall, where an elegantly dressed woman sat with the poise of a queen, her sharp eyes glinting with amusement. It was none other than Princess Sufei, the elder sister of the famously cold Prince Long Yu. Sufei's gaze swept over Lin slowly, from head to toe, before a sly smile tugged at her lips. "So, you're the girl who made my dear little brother bring someone All the way back to the capital? She murmured, voice smooth like silk but sharp like a dagger. Lalin let out a nervous laugh. It's not like that. Your Highness. I just came along because it was necessary. Really? Necessary? Sufei raised a perfectly arched brow. Or is it because you wanted to stay close to my brother? Why does the princess look like she's ready to write a scandalous love novel about me? Lalin internally wailed, her face flushing red. Before Lin could stammer out any excuse, Princess Sufei chuckled softly, her delicate fingers covering her lips. No need to be shy, dear. I can see it clearly. My little brother is very protective of you. Protective? Lalin nearly choked on her tea, eyes wide as plates. Of course. Sufei smiled knowingly. Did you not notice? On the journey here, he wouldn't let you stray even a step from his side. Oh no, if she says it like that, everyone's going to misunderstand even more. Lalin panicked internally, her face turning redder by the second. Let the prank begin. After chatting for a while, Sufei's eyes sparkled with mischief. I have a fun little idea. Lalin tilted her head, blinking in confusion. What idea, Your Highness? Sufei's grin widened. My brother. He's always so cold and composed. How about we tease him a little? Make him jealous for once? What? She wants me to prank Prince Sundara? Lalin nearly fainted on the spot, her heart racing. Lalin frantically waved her hands. I don't think that's a good idea. Your Highness, Prince Longyu is kind of terrifying. You know? Sufei let out a soft, melodic laugh, her eyes gleaming with amusement. Oh? And what exactly are you afraid of, dear? Or could it be, you're starting to fall for my little brother already? Crap. This is a total trap. Lalin panicked internally, her face flushing red like a ripe apple. Sufei leaned in slightly, her voice playful yet sly. Don't worry, it's just harmless teasing. Besides, wouldn't it be fun to see how far my cold, stoic brother can be pushed before he cracks? Lalin bit her lip nervously. Why does this feel like I'm walking into a lion's den? Inside the study of Prince Longyu sat, brows furrowed, eyes glued to the political scrolls spread out before him. His aura was cold and commanding, the kind that could silence an entire hall with just a glance. Suddenly, bang! The door burst open. Lalin strode in confidently, dragging Sufei behind her. Your Highness, I have something very important to announce, Lalin declared, her voice as serious as she could manage. Longyu looked up slowly, his sharp eyes locking onto her. Speak. Sufei, standing just behind, wore a sly little smile. I'm planning a grand banquet, and I need Lin to have a dance partner. Longyu's brow twitched faintly, and Lalin plastered on her most innocent, excited face. Sir Byaxian already offered to be my dance partner. Your Highness. The room fell dead silent. Longyu set his scroll down with a soft thud, his fingers steepled together. His icy gaze flicked from Lalin to Sufei, then narrowed dangerously. Oh no, why do I feel like I just poked a sleeping dragon? Lalin thought, forcing a nervous smile as she braced for the incoming storm. Inside Prince Longyu's study, Longyu's sharp eyes narrowed instantly. The temperature in the room seemed to drop, an invisible chill creeping through the air. Byaxian? He repeated slowly, each syllable laced with cold steel. You chose him? Lalin hurriedly nodded, forcing her brightest smile. Yes, Your Highness. Byaxian said he's very good at dancing. From behind, Sufei pressed a hand to her lips, barely holding back her laughter. Longyu's fingers tightened around his fan, the veins on his hand faintly visible. Humph, in that case, I will watch closely. Oh. Why does he look so annoyed? I didn't think he'd actually care this much. Lalin panicked inside, sweat forming on her forehead. Meanwhile, Sufei gave her a little wink from behind. This is getting fun, she thought, watching the unshakable prince start to crack. The grand evening banquet. Lalin stood nervously in the center of the grand hall, dressed in a soft blue gown Sufei had carefully chosen for her. She tugged at the sleeves awkwardly, cheeks slightly flushed. Beside her, Byaxian grinned playfully. Ready, little sister? He teased, offering his hand. Lalin took a shaky breath, lifting her hand to accept. But, swoosh, a larger, firm hand clasped around her wrist, stopping her mid-motion. Lalin gasped, wide-eyed. Prince Longyu stood there, his cool voice slicing through the tension. Switch partners. Byaxian chuckled under his breath. Oh? Your Highness has changed his mind. You want to dance with my little sister now? He teased. Longyu didn't answer. He simply pulled Lin close, his arms sliding smoothly around her waist as he guided her effortlessly into the dance. Oh no. This plan was supposed to make him jealous, not land me in his arms. Lalin panicked inside, her heart racing faster with each elegant spin. Longyu's cool scent lingered near, his grip sure and commanding. Stay focused, he murmured softly by her ear. From the corner of the grand hall, Sufei watched the dance unfold, her lips curling into a sly smile. Heh, success, she thought triumphantly, folding her arms with satisfaction. On the dance floor, Lalin tried her best not to trip over her own feet as Longyu effortlessly led her through each graceful step. His gaze remained cool, yet his hand pressed just a little firmer against her back, his movements unusually protective. Why is my heart beating like this? This was supposed to be just a fake plan. Lalin panicked inwardly, cheeks glowing red. Meanwhile, Xian leaned lazily against a column, watching the two of them dance with an amused smirk. Well, this competition just got interesting, he murmured under his breath. Inside the Grand Imperial Library, Lalin's heart raced as she tiptoed between the towering shelves, eyes wide with excitement. This is just like a secret mission in a Chinese drama, she thought, fingertips grazing the ancient scrolls. Inside the Grand Imperial Library, beside her, Princess Sufei chuckled softly. Every record of the Empire is kept here. If there's anything connected to you, it will be among these. But before Lin could start searching, urgent footsteps echoed from outside. Your Highness, Prince Longyu, is headed this way. A maid rushed in, whispering frantically. Sufei smiled slyly, folding her fan. Oh my little brother really is quite protective of you, isn't he? Lin froze, eyes wide. Wait, I'm not ready to be caught yet. The confrontation with the Ice Prince. Longyu strode into the library, his face calm as always, but his sharp gaze glimmered with suspicion. Sister, why are you here at this hour? His voice was low, smooth, and cool as steel. Sufei flashed an innocent smile. I'm merely here to read, of course. Reading? Longyu's eyes swept the room, pausing meaningfully near the towering shelves. Or, are you perhaps assisting someone in searching for things they shouldn't be seeking? Oh no, why is this guy so sharp? Lalin, hiding behind a stack of scrolls, held her breath with every ounce of willpower. Sufei let out a soft laugh. Little brother, you overthink too much. But Longyu said nothing further. Instead, he calmly walked to the far end of the room, fingers brushing over an ancient, leather-bound book. He lifted it gently, his voice smooth yet carrying weight. This old record has been a royal secret for centuries. Lalin's heart pounded like a drum. What is that book? Could it be related to the key between worlds? A monumental discovery. After Longyu finally left the room, Lalin dashed out from her hiding spot, heart still racing. Sufei chuckled softly and held up the ancient tome. Longyu had unknowingly pointed out. My little brother just helped you, without even realizing it. With slightly trembling hands, Lalin took the book, slowly opening its brittle pages. Her eyes swept over the old script, elegant, flowing characters she could barely understand. But then, her gaze locked onto a familiar image. It was an illustration of a dimensional gate, the very same design as the painting she had touched before being pulled into this world. Beneath the image, there was a single, striking inscription. Only the chosen may cross worlds. What does that even mean? Who chose me? Lalin's breath caught in her throat, her mind spinning with questions. Sufei watched Lalin's stunned face with an almost bittersweet smile. It seems, dear girl, you weren't brought here by fate alone. The weight of the truth. Lin swallowed hard. Then, who is the one who chose me? Her trembling fingers skimmed further down the page, eyes scanning the next line. When the blood moon rises, the gate shall open once more. Be blood moon. That's a lunar eclipse, isn't it? Her heart pounded wildly in her chest as memories flooded back. The night she crossed worlds, the sky had been drenched in a red moonlight. Sufei watched her with sharp, calculating eyes. Do you recall what the moon looked like on the night you arrived here? Lin slowly nodded, voice barely a whisper. I saw the moon, and it was red. A small, knowing smile tugged at Sufei's lips. Then perhaps we have found the way to send you back. Lalin's eyes widened in shock. I might actually be able to go home. Her chest tightened with a swirl of emotions. But deep inside, an unexpected thought echoed in her heart. What about Long Yu? What did you just say? At Prince Changyu's manor, inside a shadowy chamber, the air thick with cold authority, Prince Changyu, one of the most powerful and feared figures of the royal court, sat behind a finely carved wooden table. His sharp, calculating eyes gleamed in the dim light, fixed steadily on the kneeling figure of his informant. His low, resonant voice cut through the silence. "Repeat that." The spy bowed lower, his forehead nearly touching the ground. "This humble servant has learned that the maidservant accompanying the third prince behaves most unusually. Your Highness, she was seen sneaking into the Imperial Library last night, and seems to have a connection with Princess Sufei." Prince Changyu's fingers tapped rhythmically on the tabletop, his gaze darkening. "A maidservant who moves between the third prince and Sufei's hands? Interesting, very interesting indeed." His lips curved into a faint, cold smile. "Continue to watch her. Report every move she makes." The spy's voice trembled slightly. "As you command, Your Highness." Prince Changyu's chamber. The spark of suspicion. Prince Changyu narrowed his cold, calculating eyes. The folding fan in his hand, which had been waving lazily moments before, fell perfectly still. "The Imperial Library, you say?" His voice was soft, but there was a sharp edge beneath. What could a mere maid possibly be doing there? The spy hesitated, then cautiously added, "It appears she was searching for something. Information about certain ancient texts." "Your Highness." For a heartbeat, silence hung thick in the air. Then, he let out a soft chuckle, though the glint in his eyes was anything but amused. "Ancient texts? How curious." His fingers drummed once against the armrest. "Is she truly just a maid?" The spy licked his lips nervously before pressing on. "There are also rumors, Your Highness, that the third prince seems unusually attentive toward her." Crack. The fan in Prince Changyu's hand slammed down onto the table, the sharp sound echoing through the chamber. Then I must know." His voice dropped to a dangerous murmur. "Who exactly is this woman? And why has she captured not only the third prince's attention, but mine as well?" Forbidden Garden, Imperial Palace. The next day, Lalin strolled quietly through the palace's forbidden garden, her mind tangled with thoughts. The blood moon. The portal. Does this really mean I can go home? She was so lost in her own worries that she didn't notice the shadow falling behind her, until a smooth, mocking voice cut through the still air. "Well, little maiden, you seem quite deep in thought." Lalin gasped softly, spinning around, only to come face to face with a man dressed in ornate robes, eyes sharp as a blade beneath his refined smile. "Ah, the big villain himself. This is bad, this is so bad." Lalin quickly masked her panic, dipping into a polite curtsy. "Your Highness, I was merely out for a walk. Nothing more." "Yes, you." Prince Changyu's lips curved ever so slightly, but his eyes gleamed with a predator's cunning. "Oh, nothing more?" he murmured. Lalin forced herself to hold her ground, though her heart pounded wildly inside. "He suspects me. I just know it. I have to say something harmless. Something that won't give him any reason to dig deeper. I'm just a lowly maid. Your Highness, I wouldn't dare involve myself in anything important," Lalin said with a strained, nervous smile. Prince Changyu gave a soft, mirthless laugh. "Humph, good." But before Lin could feel any relief, his eyes darkened, and his voice turned chillingly smooth. "Unfortunately, I dislike having strangers wandering around my palace." Lalin stiffened. It was as if the very air around her turned cold. Oh no. What does he mean by that? She instinctively took a small step back, feeling her pulse quicken. Changyu's gaze sharpened, glinting like a blade hidden beneath silk. Inside the third prince's residence. After rushing back from the garden, Lalin breathlessly recounted everything to Sufei. The princess's brow furrowed at once. "Prince Changyu came to speak with you himself?" Lalin nodded quickly. "Yes." And the way he spoke, it seriously gave me chills. Sufei's expression turned grim. "You're a clever girl, Lalin. Surely you understand just how dangerous Changyu is." "Of course I do." Lalin swallowed hard, her hands twisting anxiously. "What should I do now?" Suddenly, a cool, commanding voice cut through the room from the doorway. "You should stay away from him." Lalin whipped around, only to find Prince Longyu standing there, his sharp eyes fixed on her with an intensity that made her heart race. Whoosh! Lalin spun around to see Longyu standing at the doorway, arms crossed, his expression dark and unreadable. "I've warned you time and again to be careful. Why, then? Did you entangle yourself with Prince Changyu? Oh no. Am I seriously getting scolded? By both the main villain and the cold prince right now? Lalin panicked, frantically waving her hands. I didn't mean to. He came looking for me. Longyu let out a deep sigh, stepping closer to her, his sharp eyes narrowing. From now on, if you ever cross paths with him again, run. Get away as fast as you can. Wait, why does he sound so intense all of a sudden? Lalin's heart thudded wildly in her chest. Su Fei, watching the tense scene unfold, smiled faintly. You're quite protective, little brother. Longyu froze for a moment, then turned his face away, his voice low and curt. I'm talking about her safety. But everyone in the room knew. Those words carried far more than just a protector's concern.
Chapter 8. Lalin was kidnapped.
The Night of Shadows. While Lalin lay fast asleep in her quarters, unaware of the creeping danger, faint footsteps echoed softly through the darkness. Shadows moved swiftly, noiselessly. Suddenly, whip! A rough hand clamped tightly over her mouth, and before she could even open her eyes, her body was lifted and whisked away into the night. At Prince Longyu's residence, Dawn. Where is she? Longyu's voice roared through the hall, sharp and chilling. His soldiers knelt trembling before him, not daring to lift their heads. Sire, we've searched everywhere. Maid Lin vanished last night. There's no trace of where she went. The folding fan in Longyu's hand snapped shut with a loud crack, the veins on his hand bulging slightly as he gripped it tight. His usually calm expression darkened dangerously. She's been taken. In Prince Changyu's secret camp, Lalin sat on the ground, wrists and ankles tightly bound, her heart pounding wildly in her chest. Across from her, Prince Changyu lounged casually, his fan tapping rhythmically on the wooden table. His thin smile was sharp as a blade. You intrigue me more and more, he murmured, eyes narrowing slightly. Just a lowly maid. Yet you've managed to capture the special interest of Prince Longyu. Curious, isn't it? Lalin forced herself to keep calm, swallowing hard. Crap. This is totally that interrogation scene in every Chinese drama. But before Changyu could press her further, boom! An explosion thundered at the front of the camp, thick smoke curling into the sky as soldiers. Panicked shouts filled the air. We're under attack. But before Changyu could press her further, chaotic rescue mission. Longyu surged forward like a tempest, sword flashing in deadly arcs, as he cut down anyone who dared block his way. His face was set, eyes cold and fierce, radiating the terrifying presence of a prince unleashed. Beside him, Bai Xian wore his usual mischievous grin, casually slashing down enemy soldiers with a flick of his blade. Your Highness, he teased, ducking a strike with ease. I did suggest we take the hidden route. But no, you wanted the full dramatic entrance. Huh? Longyu didn't waste breath answering. He was already storming straight toward the main tent where Lin was being held. Inside, Lalin's heart pounded as she heard the chaos erupt outside. Oh no, they're here. Please, let them make it in time. Camping inside the tent. Fwish! A blade sliced cleanly through the ropes binding Lalin, freeing her in one swift motion. She gasped, lifting her head. Bai Xing? She blurted out, eyes wide, staring at the grinning rogue crouched beside her. Relax, little apprentice, Bai Xian said with a smirk. You still look in one piece. But before Lalin could even squeak out a reply, a large, firm hand closed over her arm. She whipped around. Longyu stood there, brows furrowed, voice low and edged with annoyance. You took too long to get her. Bai Xian gave a lazy laugh. Oh come on, your highness. I had to give you your heroic moment, didn't I? Wait. Are these two seriously bickering right now? In the middle of a rescue? Lalin panicked inside, looking frantically between the two men. Meanwhile, outside, the sounds of soldiers regrouping and shouts of retaliation filled the night air. The real fight wasn't over yet. A chaotic escape. After bursting free from Lord Qingyu's camp, Lalin suddenly found herself yanked up onto Longyu's horse, without so much as a warning. Hey, I can ride on my own, you know, she protested, squirming slightly. Be quiet and hold on tight, came his cool, commanding voice. Lalin's cheeks turned scarlet as she realized she was now firmly wrapped in the arms of the notoriously cold-faced third prince. Oh my gosh, this is way too close. Meanwhile, galloping right behind them, Bai Xian let out a mischievous laugh. Little apprentice, perhaps you should try riding with me next time. Whoosh! Longyu's horse surged forward, picking up speed. and widening the distance between them and Baixian. Laylan's eyes widened in panic. Wait, don't tell me. Is His Highness jealous right now? Inside Princess Sufei's secret chamber, after barely escaping Lord Qingyu's clutches, Laylan couldn't shake off the lingering thoughts about the ancient scroll she had glimpsed in the Imperial Library. I know it's connected to how I ended up here. It has to be. Are you still thinking about that scroll? Princess Sufei asked softly. As she poured Lin a cup of tea, Laylan nodded earnestly. Yes, Your Highness. I feel it's tied to me much. More than I ever realized. Sufei gave a faint, knowing smile. Then slipped a weathered scroll from her sleeve, handing it carefully to Laylan. This is another part of the scroll you saw. Laylan's eyes widened in surprise. She quickly unrolled it, her heart pounding furiously, and the words before her nearly made her stop breathing. The one from a distant land shall be the key to reshaping the fate of this kingdom. What does that even mean? Me, reshaping the kingdom's fate? Inside the flickering candlelight of Princess Sufei's secret room, Laylan's face paled visibly. No, I just want to go home. Why do I have to change anyone's fate? Sufei gazed at Lin with surprising gentleness. But perhaps you were meant to do this. Laylan bit her lip, shaking her head. I'm not from this kingdom. I'm not even from this era. I have no right to change anything here. Sufei tilted her head slightly, a soft, knowing smile curving her lips. Do you truly believe that? Then tell me, what about everything you've done since you arrived? You saved the third prince. You disrupted Lord Qingyu's schemes. You've been changing the course of events without even realizing it. Laylan fell into silence, her chest tightening, as she replayed every encounter, every reckless moment where she had interfered. Could it be? This really is what I'm supposed to do. Inside the third prince's private quarters. The ancient scrolls. What do they say? Long Yu's deep voice broke the heavy silence as he stood with arms crossed, his sharp gaze fixed on Laylan, who was still clutching the fragile scroll with trembling hands. Her face was filled with confusion, uncertainty clouding her eyes. The scroll says. Laylan's voice came out small. A traveler from afar shall be the one to change the fate of the land. Long Yu was silent for a long moment, his expression unreadable, his eyes unwavering. And what do you think? He finally asked, voice low, deliberate. Laylan slowly lifted her gaze to meet his. I don't know. I never imagined I'd get tangled in something this big. He took a step closer, his tall figure casting a subtle shadow over her. His piercing eyes searched hers, steady and unflinching. But you can't run from it now. His voice dropped to a near whisper, soft but resolute. Ugh, I just wanted to go home. I didn't sign up to be some kind of world changer. Laylan wailed internally, on the verge of tears. And then, Long Yu reached out, his fingers brushing hers. As he gently lowered the scroll, his gaze never wavered. If you truly are meant to be the one who changes everything, then know this. I will stand beside you. Laylan's heart skipped a beat. Wait, what does he mean by that? At the palace of Prince Qingyu stood tall, his piercing gaze fixed on the shadowed figure kneeling before him. How did she react when she read the scroll? He asked coolly. The spy kept his head low, voice barely above a whisper. She appeared shocked. Confused, my lord. Qingyu let out a soft, chilling laugh. Good, that means she still has no idea just how important she truly is. He turned, his dark eyes landing on the ancient mural adorning the wall. The same image Laylan had seen in the scroll. A mysterious portal, and a blood-red moon looming above it. But she will know soon enough. Qingyu murmured, his smile growing sharper, colder. And when the time comes, it will be I who decides her fate. With a flick of his fingers, he gestured to his trusted bodyguard. Send word to Princess Lian. Tell her, it's time to act. The bodyguard bowed low. Yes, my lord. With a whirl of his cloak, the figure vanished into the shadows. Left alone, Qingyu narrowed his eyes, his voice a dangerous whisper to himself. Let's see how long you can resist, little traveler. At Princess Sufei's secret pavilion, after uncovering the prophecy hidden in the ancient scroll, Laylan sat quietly on the pavilion balcony, her eyes fixed on the glittering night sky, a storm of emotion swirling inside her. Should I go home, or should I stay here? A soft voice pulled her from her thoughts. You don't look well, little one. Princess Sufei settled gracefully beside her, an elegant smile on her lips. Laylan sighed deeply. I don't know what I should do next. Sufei tilted her head thoughtfully. Do you want to go back? Lalin fell silent, fingers tightening slightly on her lap before she whispered, yes, but I also feel like there's something here I still need to do. Like Prince Longyu? Sufei asked teasingly, a sly glint in her eyes. What? Not just him. Lalin stammered, cheeks burning red. I mean, there's still the mystery of the time travel. And I'm worried about all of you, too. Sufei let out a soft, musical laugh. Then don't overthink it. Lalin, just follow your heart. That's all you need to do. Follow my heart. But even my own heart doesn't know what it wants right now. Lalin thought anxiously, clenching her fists lightly. At Prince Longyu's residence, while Lalin sat in her own room, tangled in a mess of thoughts, far away across the courtyard, Longyu stood by his window, silent, his sharp gaze fixed out into the dark night. If you truly decide to leave, he murmured under his breath, his voice barely audible even to himself. Would I really be able to let you go? Leaning casually against a pillar nearby, Xian chuckled softly. So, you're finally admitting it, aren't you? He teased, his trademark smirk curling on his lips. You don't want her to leave. Longyu didn't answer, but his grip on the folded fan in his hand tightened noticeably. His eyes glinted with a rare flicker of emotion he rarely let show. Xian pushed off the pillar, hands tucked behind his head as he grinned. But you know, he added playfully, I don't think our little junior will leave that easily anyway. Lalin, Longyu thought silently, his heart heavier than he expected. In the secret garden, royal palace. Late at night, Lalin wandered quietly through the moonlit garden, trying to steady her breath and her racing thoughts. So much had happened, too much. She hugged herself lightly, staring up at the stars. But then, soft footsteps approached. You're really thinking of leaving? Came that familiar deep, cool voice. Lalin startled, whipping around. You, Prince Longyu. Why are you here? He stepped closer, his sharp gaze fixed entirely on her. I want your answer. Lalin clenched her fists, lowering her head. I still don't know. Are you afraid? He asked softly. She looked up, meeting his piercing eyes. Yes, I'm scared. Longyu was silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, he took another step closer. His voice lowered, gentler than she'd ever heard before. Whatever you choose, I won't force you. Lalin's heart thumped wildly, confused and flustered. Why is he speaking like this? What does he mean? Before she could form a reply, his hand lifted, large and warm, and gently brushed her cheek. His touch was careful, tender. But if you stay, he murmured. His eyes locked on hers. I will protect you, no matter what you have to face. Lalin's breath hitched, her chest tightening. For the first time, she saw in his gaze something entirely different. Not cold command, not royal distance, but raw, unguarded sincerity. Oh no, how am I supposed to not fall for this? Inside Prince Qingyu's hidden hall. She's wavering, Prince Qingyu murmured, his sharp eyes skimming over the intelligence reports laid out before him. Beside him, Princess Lian crossed her arms gracefully, her voice cold as ice. If she decides to stay, that will not benefit us. Prince Qingyu chuckled darkly, the corner of his mouth curling up. Then we must ensure she never gets the chance to choose. He turned, snapping his fingers. Instantly, a shadowed figure emerged from the darkness, kneeling silently. Prepare the plan, Qingyu commanded, his voice low but deadly. We strike soon. Princess Lian's lips curved into a sly, cold smile. Heh, it's time we remove that girl once and for all. Inside Lalin's bedroom, midnight whispers. That night, Lalin tossed and turned on her hard wooden bed, eyes wide open. Prince Longyu's words echoed endlessly in her mind. I will protect you, no matter what you face. She sighed deeply, rolling over to stare at the ceiling. Why does my heart race every time I think of him? Suddenly, fit, Windface. A faint sound rustled outside her window. Lalin's eyes snapped wide, her heartbeat quickening with unease. Am I just imagining things? But just beyond the shadows, hidden under the cover of night, a mysterious figure lurked, watching her every move, a sinister grin creeping across their face.
Chapter 9. Princess Lian tries to get rid of her.
At Princess Lian's chambers, brewing jealousy, Princess Lian clenched her fan so tightly, her knuckles turned white, eyes flashing like sharpened daggers, as she stared at the spy's report in her hands. That mysterious maid. She hissed in her mind. Not only did she escape Prince Qingyu's trap, but she's now under the personal protection Of Prince Longyu. The spy, kneeling before her, spoke in a low, trembling voice. Your Highness. I observed. His Highness the third prince treats her unusually. And on the night before, he touched her face without hesitation. Your Highness. Clang. Collision. The fan in Li Yan's hand fell. With a loud smack against the table. Her heart seethed with a fiery jealousy. Impossible. Prince Longyu has never so much as laid a hand on any woman. Why does he let this maid near him so easily? Li Yan shot up from her seat, her robe swirling like a storm around her feet. I will not let her stay another minute. In this palace. At the third prince's residence. A trap unfolds. Lin, still tangled in the confusing swirl of her own emotions, wandered absent-mindedly through the palace garden under the late morning sun. But before she could realize it, thud, a line of eunuchs and handmaidens blocked her path. Their uniforms bore the unmistakable emblem of Princess Li Yan. Are you the maid from the third prince's residence? One of the handmaidens asked coolly, her voice sharp as a knife. Lalin blinked rapidly. Huh? Are they here to start trouble? Yes, that's me. May I help you? She replied as politely as she could, trying to suppress the rising panic in her chest. The handmaiden's smile was thin, almost predatory. Princess Li Yan has summoned you. You are to come with us now. Gasp. Oh no, I'm in trouble. Aren't I? At Princess Li Yan's residence, a ruthless display. Inside the grand hall, Princess Li Yan sat cross-legged upon her elevated throne, her eyes sharp as daggers as she gazed down at Lin standing below. You are the one constantly by the third prince's side, aren't you? She asked, her voice cold and calculated. Lalin hurriedly bowed low. I am merely an ordinary maid. Your Highness. Li Yan let out a soft, mocking laugh, her voice dripping with contempt. Humph, then you should know your place. Whoa, this is noblewoman-style intimidation. Huh? Lalin clenched her fists at her sides, forcing herself to stay composed. The princess rose gracefully, stepping closer, her eyes gleaming with icy pressure. I'll ask you once more. Do you harbor feelings for him? Lin froze. Ah, how am I supposed to answer that? But before she could even open her mouth, Princess Li Yan flicked her gaze toward her guards. Throw her into the pond. Wait, what? Before Lalin could react, two guards seized her arms. She struggled desperately. Hold on. We can talk this out. Splash, sweat droplets. Cold, icy water enveloped her in an instant. Lalin gasped, flailing as the weight of her soaked clothes pulled her down, deeper and deeper. Above the water, Princess Li Yan's voice rang out with cruel finality. Remember this. The third prince belongs to me, and you will never stand by his side. At the Forbidden Pond, a desperate rescue. Your Highness. Lalin has been thrown into the Forbidden Pond. Bang! Collision. The delicate folding fan in Prince Longyu's hand shattered. As it struck the floor, he shot up from his seat, his usually composed eyes now burning with deadly determination. Xian, standing nearby, gasped. What? My junior has been tossed into the water? What are we waiting for? Longyu didn't waste a single breath. With a swift motion, he stormed out of the residence, his robes billowing behind him, as he raced toward the pond at lightning speed. At the Forbidden Pond, splash! Without hesitation, Longyu plunged into the chilling depths, his body cutting through the water like a spear. His sharp eyes darted through the murky darkness, desperately seeking the faint silhouette of Lalin sinking below. No, I will not let anything happen to you. The water's cold pierced his skin, but he ignored it. His hand shot forward, and just as Lalin's figure began to drift further into the abyss, his fingers closed firmly around her wrist. With a powerful kick, he propelled them both upward, breaking through the water's surface. In a rush of air and droplets, Lalin, wake up! Longyu's voice cracked with urgency as he pulled her into his arms, holding her close against his chest. Her eyelashes fluttered weakly, droplets sliding down her pale cheeks. Xian arrived at the edge, eyes wide. Whoa, I never thought I'd see His Highness look like this. Finally, he grasped Lalin's wrist and yanked her up with a surge of strength. Lalin coughed violently, choking as water spluttered from her lips. She barely had time to steady herself before strong arms wrapped tightly around her, pulling her into the firm embrace of Prince Longyu. Are you insane? His deep voice rumbled low beside her ear, his breath hot against her soaked skin. Lalin lifted her tear-filled eyes to meet his, still gasping for air. I didn't want to fall in. You know. Long Yu clenched his jaw, his sharp gaze flickering, with a mix of anger and worry, emotions he himself struggled to hide. His grip around her tightened, his heartbeat loud and clear between them. From now on, he whispered in a voice rough, with suppressed emotion, I will never let anyone touch you again. Lalin's eyes widened, her heart pounding so hard it felt like it might burst from her chest. Why does this feel like a confession? Princess Lian gripped her fan so tightly. Her fingers turned white, fury radiating from every inch of her elegant form. Her sharp nails dug into the delicate silk. As she hissed through clenched teeth, that wretched girl, and now, Long Yu dives in himself to save her? This can't go on. She must die. The flames of jealousy and hatred burned hotter in her chest. She paced back and forth, her beautiful robe sweeping the floor like coiled serpents. Prepare the next plan, she ordered coldly, her voice like ice laced with venom. This time, she won't escape. In Prince Long Yu's chambers, after pulling Lin from the forbidden well, Long Yu wasted no time summoning court physicians and maids to tend to her. Now, he sat quietly by her bedside, his sharp eyes fixed on her pale face, never once looking away. Nearby, Bai Xian leaned casually against the doorframe, arms crossed, a teasing smile playing on his lips. My little junior survived. And yet your highness still wears that grim face? Long Yu didn't respond. His jaw was clenched, his fingers curling slowly into a fist on his knee. His dark eyes burned with quiet fury. This won't be left unpunished. His voice was cold, each word sharp like a blade of ice. Bai Xian raised an eyebrow, smirking. And what exactly do you plan to do? Long Yu's gaze sharpened, the corner of his mouth tightening. Princess Lian will answer for this. His voice dropped lower, steel laced in every syllable. She will learn that no one touches Lalin without paying the price. In Lalin's bedchamber, Lalin awoke in the middle of the night, the comforting warmth of the heavy blanket wrapped around her like a protective cocoon. Her long lashes fluttered slowly before she turned her head to take in her surroundings, and the first thing she saw was the third prince, asleep in a chair right beside her bed. What? Is he really sitting there, watching over me? Her lips parted in shock, and her heart began to pound without warning, as she struggled to process what she was seeing. A deep, low voice broke the silence. You're awake. Long Yu slowly opened his eyes, the sharp glint in them catching the soft glow of the lantern beside the bed. He looked at her wordlessly, his gaze unreadable yet strangely calming. Lalin quickly composed herself. Yes, your highness. I'm awake. Have you been here the whole time? The third prince didn't answer her directly. Instead, he said in an even tone, you were having trouble breathing in your sleep. I didn't want anything to happen to you again. Oh no, why does he suddenly feel so warm and gentle? She struggled to find something to say in return, but before she could speak, Long Yu reached out with his warm hand and gently touched her forehead. You still have a fever. Don't try to get up. Lalin's cheeks flushed deep red, her heart pounding so wildly, it nearly leapt from her chest. Good heavens! What happened to the usual cold and aloof prince? Why is he being so tender? In the imperial court, at dawn, the great hall echoed with murmurs. As the ministers gathered, all eyes turned as Prince Long Yu rose from his throne, his expression as cold as marble. I hereby declare before this court, he said sharply, that Princess Lian has committed a malicious act against one of my personal attendants. I demand that she be held accountable. Princess Lian. His voice was like frost against steel. Your conduct has crossed the line. The hall fell into stunned silence. Did you truly believe I would let this matter go unpunished? Lian's face turned pale as parchment. Your highness, I merely tried to kill an innocent girl? His tone dropped to a chilling growl, more terrifying than a blade at one's throat. Unless you have a justification worth hearing, you should prepare to face the consequences. Oh no, is he actually defending me? In front of the entire court? Lalin, standing silently by the side, felt like sinking into the floor as dozens of noble eyes turned toward her. Once the court session concluded, Lalin returned to her chambers, utterly drained from the ordeal. She barely made it to the edge of her bed before collapsing in a tired heap. But before she could close her eyes, heavy footsteps echoed outside her door. Bang! The door slid open. Prince Long Yu strode in, his sharp eyes locking onto her immediately. Your highness? Lalin squeaked. Flustered, she had barely recovered from the morning's courtroom spectacle, where he had coldly and openly defended Her against Princess Lian. Oh no, what now? My heart hasn't even calmed down yet. Long Yu walked up to her, his expression unreadable, his presence towering and intense. Without a word, he reached out and gently lifted her hand, examining the faint bruises left from her ordeal. You're still injured, he murmured, his voice low and tight. You should rest. Let others handle this. Lalin's breath hitched. Why is he being so tender again? This isn't the cold, aloof prince I know. She tried to pull her hand back, stammering, I'm fine, really. But Long Yu didn't let go. His gaze softened just slightly as he met her wide, panicked eyes. No, you've been pulled into too much already. From now on, let me protect you. Lalin felt her cheeks blaze red, her heart hammering wildly. Stop looking at me like that. I can't handle this. Lalin sat frozen, her cheeks flushed pink, as Prince Long Yu's fingertips gently brushed a lock of her hair aside. His piercing gaze didn't waver, drawing her in closer. You're acting strange today, Your Highness, Lalin stammered, her voice trembling slightly. Her heart pounded so hard, she swore he could hear it. Long Yu gave a small, rare smile, the kind that made her breath hitch. Strange? He murmured softly. Or is it simply that I've stopped pretending? This is too much. Is this the cold, stoic prince I know? How did he turn into this romantic, dangerous man? Lalin's mind screamed as she tried to back away, but he gently caught her wrist. Stay. His voice was firm, but his touch was gentle. Just for a little longer, stay by my side. Lalin's face turned bright red. I can't handle this. Somebody saved me before. I melt into a puddle. Deep inside the royal library, under flickering candlelight, Lalin's hands trembled as she unfurled the ancient scroll, its yellowed paper crackling softly. Her eyes darted across the archaic characters, heart hammering in her chest. In the past, a traveler from another world crossed into this realm. Her breath caught. I'm not the first. There were others like me before. Behind her, Princess Sufei leaned closer, her brows furrowed. What does it say, Lalin? Lalin's voice was shaky. It says, the last traveler changed the fate of the empire, and vanished without a trace. Vanished? Sufei gasped softly. Does it say how or why? Lalin's fingers skimmed down the scroll, eyes wide. It says, when the blood moon rises, the chosen will have to make the ultimate choice. To return, or to stay and rewrite destiny. Lalin staggered back, her mind spinning. Ultimate choice? You're telling me I'll have to decide between going home or changing the fate of this world? Suddenly, a shadow fell across the scroll. Lalin whipped around. Standing in the doorway was Prince Long Yu, his piercing gaze locked on her. So, you've found the truth, he murmured, stepping closer. Now tell me, Lalin, if the time comes, will you stay? Lalin's heart clenched. I don't know. Secret tavern in the city, under the pale moonlight. Xian lounged lazily in his seat, a playful smirk tugging at the corner of his lips as his sharp eyes fixed on the shadowed figure across the table. The spy before him, cloaked in black, kept his head low, voice hushed. My lord, I've uncovered proof. Prince Chengyu is linked to the ancient scrolls. The maidservant of Prince Long Yu is investigating. Xian's fingers drummed lightly on the wooden table, the rhythm soft but deliberate. So, this isn't just some accidental crossing of paths, is it? The spy gave a subtle nod. Indeed, sir. I also discovered that several ancient records about travelers from another realm are hidden within Prince Chengyu's secret chambers. For a heartbeat, Xian was silent. Then, with a glimmer of mischief in his eyes, he slowly raised his cup and took a long sip of wine. Well, things just got a lot more interesting at Prince Long Yu's manor. The air thick with tension, Lalin clutched the edge of her seat, eyes wide as saucers. What? Prince Chengyu might be connected to my time travel? Her voice shot up, cracking the heavy silence. Xian chuckled lazily, reclining back with his usual mischievous grin. You might want to keep your voice down, little sister. Yes, I discovered. He's been hoarding ancient records, and they just might hold answers about how you crossed into this world. Long Yu, seated nearby, tightened his grip on his folding fan, his cold, sharp eyes darkening. If that's true, then that man knows more than we thought. Lalin swallowed hard, a chill crawling up her spine. Her mind raced as an ominous thought settled in her chest. If Prince Chengyu truly knows something about me, then I might be in far more danger than I ever imagined. Inside Prince Changyu's shadowy manor, a storm brewing. Changyu stood tall before the ancient painting hanging solemnly on the wall. An image of a woman from a distant land, her features eerily similar to Lalin. With a slow, deliberate motion, he reached out, fingertips brushing the faded canvas, his thin lips curling into a sinister smirk. "It seems, your time is almost here." Footsteps echoed softly behind him. A shadowed guard kneeled low. "My lord, she has begun to uncover the truth." Changyu turned, his sharp eyes gleaming dangerously. "Then it's time. Send the signal. Let our assassins begin the plan." The guard bowed deep. "Yes, my lord," and slipped back into the shadows without a sound, raising his teacup with a calm so cold it sent shivers through the room. Changyu murmured, "I will be the one to shape this land's destiny. Not her. And certainly not Prince Longyu." In Lin's room, Lalin sat deep in thought by the window. The ancient scroll still laid open before her, but her eyes no longer moved across the text. The truth she had just uncovered weighed so heavily on her mind that she could not look away. "Prince Changyu, how could you possibly know about my journey through time?" she wondered anxiously. As she brooded, the night breeze slipped through the open window, sending a chill down her spine. It felt as though something was creeping closer. Above the rooftop of the residence, dark shadows moved silently, inching closer and closer. One figure leapt down, dagger gleaming in hand, ready to strike. But, whoosh, high voltage, a sword flashed in the moonlight, intercepting the blade with perfect precision. A tall figure clad in black appeared at Lalin's side. It was Prince Longyu. "Humph, how bold of them," he murmured coldly, his sharp gaze sweeping over the group of assassins. Xian landed nimbly beside him, chuckling softly. "I was wondering if you'd make it in time. Seems you've arrived at the perfect moment." Still shocked by the sudden attack, Lalin instinctively clutched Longyu's arm. "What is happening?" she gasped. Longyu turned to her, his eyes filled with unspoken concern. "I warned you, didn't I? Never stay alone." The assassins surged forward again, but this time, Longyu and Xian were ready.
Chapter 10. The prince began to suspect that Lalin might have to leave and felt shaken.
At Prince Longyu's residence, inside the tranquil grand hall, Longyu sat before a stack of official documents. Yet his eyes hadn't read a single word. Ever since the assassination attempt that night, his heart had remained restless, unable to find peace. "I won't let anyone touch you." The words he'd once spoken to Lalin still echoed in his mind. But now, a realization was slowly dawning on him. If Lalin's time-crossing truly had a reason, if she was indeed the chosen one, mentioned in the ancient prophecy, then one day, she might have to leave. She might disappear from this world. From his side, from the corner of the room, Xian sat sipping his tea, keenly observing the prince's demeanor. He chuckled softly before speaking up. "Your Highness, you don't want her to leave, do you?" Longyu turned to look at him, his expression composed, his voice calm. "I simply don't wish for unnecessary chaos." "Ha, I don't buy that." Xian leaned back casually against his chair, a sly grin playing on his lips. "You can deny it all you want, but your eyes never lie. Admit it. You've fallen for her. Haven't you?" Longyu's hand tightened imperceptibly around his fan, and for just a heartbeat, his heart skipped. In the garden behind Prince Longyu's residence, Lalin sat quietly, gazing up at the moon, her heart and mind tangled in a storm of thoughts. "I can't stay here forever. Can I?" She knew that Longyu was protecting her more fiercely with each passing day. He was no longer just the cold, aloof prince. He had become the one who made her heart race every time their eyes met. But if the day came when she had to return, she let out a soft sigh, lifting her face toward the moon. And just then, she noticed a tall figure stepping quietly into the garden. Longyu stood before her, his sharp eyes calm yet searching. "What are you thinking about?" he asked softly. Lalin flinched slightly, forcing a small smile. "Oh, nothing. I was just thinking how beautiful the moon is tonight." Longyu continued to stare, as if trying to read the unspoken truth in her eyes. "Are you sure, that's all?" Lalin pressed her lips together tightly, avoiding his gaze. She quickly changed the subject. "And you? Why are you here?" He fell silent for a long moment, before answering slowly. "I don't know." He took a step closer, close enough that Lalin could feel the warmth radiating from him. "But I do know this. I don't want you to disappear." Lalin's heart pounded so hard, she thought it might burst. She slowly lifted her eyes to meet his, and in that brief, unguarded moment, she saw it. The same confusion, the same vulnerability, reflected in his gaze. Is he, finally admitting his feelings? At Prince Changyu's manor, while Longyu and Lalin were quietly confronting their own feelings, elsewhere in the palace, Prince Changyu was hastening his dark plans. It's time to move, he said coldly, his voice cutting through the dimly lit room. Like a blade dot. If she discovers the way back, I will not allow her to live long enough to use it. The shadowy bodyguard bowed low, in silent acknowledgement before melting away into the darkness. Prince Changyu smiled thinly, eyes gleaming with dangerous intent. Whether she wishes to stay or go, I will be the one to decide. In Lalin's bedchamber, Lalin sat quietly before the ancient manuscript, its worn pages splayed open beneath the flickering candlelight. Her eyes scanned the section titled, The Chosen One, and the Blood Moon. It was all clear now. The gateway between worlds would open again soon. She had a chance to go home, back to her world, back to her time, and yet, why did her heart hesitate? I shouldn't doubt this. This world doesn't belong to me. She told herself this over and over. Yet her heart pounded harder each time. She thought of him, the third prince. If she left, what would become of him? In the prince's pavilion, Longyu stood beneath the open sky, gazing up at the full moon that bathed the courtyard in silver light. His thoughts were heavy, his eyes shadowed with turmoil. He knew Lalin had begun unraveling the secrets of her return. He knew the gateway would soon reopen. I should be happy for her, that she can return to where she truly belongs. So why does the thought of her leaving feel unbearable? Soft footsteps approached from behind. Baeksayan strolled in, his usual smirk in place. You don't look like the same cold-hearted third prince I used to know. I haven't changed, Longyu said flatly. Oh please. Baeksayan chuckled. You started changing the moment she barged into your life. Longyu fell silent, his jaw tightening slightly. Then came a soft sigh. I'd rather you not speak nonsense. Baeksayan shrugged playfully. Then tell me, Your Highness, what will you do if she really leaves? Longyu didn't reply. For the first time, the certainty in his eyes gave way to doubt. In the Imperial Garden, Lalin wandered slowly through the Imperial Garden, her steps light, her mind heavy. The evening breeze teased her hair, cool against her skin, but her eyes held nothing but confusion. Then came the voice, low, steady, and unmistakable. You're really planning to leave, aren't you? She turned quickly. There he was, Longyu. He stood just a few paces away, expression unreadable. But in his eyes, there was something she had never seen before. Pain. Her lips trembled. She didn't know what to say. You think there's no place for you here, is that it? He asked. His voice calm but weighted with something deeper. Something unspoken. Her eyes widened. That's not what I meant. But I have a home, in another world. And what about here? He stepped closer. Is there truly no one here that matters to you? Her heart skipped a beat. Is he asking if I feel something for him? She bit her lip, struggling to find the words. Finally, she whispered, I don't know yet. He looked at her, his gaze unwavering. I've never wanted anything in this life, he said softly, but I don't want you to go. Her heart thundered in her chest. She had never imagined the cold, distant prince could speak such words. She began, her voice shaky. But before she could finish, a sudden gust of wind swirled around them, rising like a whisper from the heavens, pulling at her sleeves. Her hair, like the world itself, had begun to shift. The blood moon rises. Whoosh. The sky darkened without warning, clouds swirling as if summoned by fate itself. Overhead, the blood moon began to cast its eerie glow, just as the ancient text had foretold. It's time. The portal is opening. Lalin turned to look at Longyu. For the first time, she saw panic in his eyes. I have to choose now. Don't I? She whispered. Lalin. He stepped toward her, his hands clenched tightly, wrestling emotions he had kept buried for too long. Then, without warning, a stronger gust of wind tore through the garden. Before them, the portal began to take shape, shimmering with otherworldly light, a swirling gateway that pulsed like a living thing. It was beautiful. Terrifying. Final. That's it, isn't it? She murmured. The way back to my world. She took a step toward it, but before she could move any further, he grabbed her wrist. His grip was firm, but trembling. His eyes, once sharp and cold, now shimmered with something raw and desperate. If you walk through that portal, his voice shook. You won't be able to come back. She looked up at him, her heart pounding like thunder in her chest, and in that moment, she realized this wasn't just a decision about worlds. It was a decision about him, about them. What will I choose? In Prince Qingyu's pavilion, meanwhile, far from the garden storm of emotions, Prince Qingyu stood calmly upon the high balcony of his pavilion. His gaze was fixed upon the rising blood moon, the red glow dancing in his eyes like flames fed by secrets. A sly, knowing smile curled on his lips. It's time, he murmured. He turned sharply toward the dark figure kneeling beside him. His loyal shadow guard. Go, bring her to me, before she makes her choice. The shadow vanished into the night. In the imperial garden, the fierce wind howled, swirling around them. As the glowing portal shimmered in midair, the shrieking gusts made the night feel chillingly surreal. Lalin stared at the light, her heart pounding in confusion and dread, while Longyu's hand gripped her wrist tightly, as if afraid she might slip away from his life forever. But before she could utter a single word, whoosh, figures clad in black burst from the shadows, swiftly surrounding them in a tight circle. Lin, watch out! Longyu yanked her close, his body moving protectively in front of her. From the rooftop, Bai Xian, who had been silently observing, leapt down, his twin blades flashing in the moonlight. And then, a cold, sinister laugh echoed through the night. In front of the portal, a tall figure in black robes stepped out from the darkness, his sharp eyes glinting under the crimson moonlight. Duke Chengyu. At last. The time has come, he spoke in a calm, commanding voice. Lalin's eyes widened. What do you mean? Chengyu's lips curved into a cold smirk. This portal didn't appear by chance. I am the one who summoned it. What? Lalin and Longyu exclaimed in unison. Chengyu's piercing gaze locked onto Lalin. Did you think you crossed worlds because of fate? No, it was I who brought you here. Lalin's heart pounded, tightening painfully in her chest. Why would you do this? Because you. Chengyu's voice dropped low, his smile deepening. Are the key to unlocking the ancient power sealed within the royal bloodline. A shocking truth unveiled. Longyu clenched his jaw tightly. I will never let you harm Lalin. But before he could launch an attack, Duke Chengyu merely flicked his wrist, and in an instant, the assassins charged forward. Bai Xian leapt into the fray, shouting, Junior, stay away from him. Yet Lalin didn't hear him. Her eyes were locked on the flickering portal. Heart pounding. The truth, that she'd been forced to cross worlds, just a pawn in Chengyu's grand scheme, tore at her soul. You must choose. Lalin, Chengyu said coolly, his voice cutting through the chaos. Step into that portal. Or stay here, and become my instrument. Lalin trembled, her heart crying out in turmoil. But before she could speak, Longyu swept forward, wrapping an arm firmly around her waist, breaking through the circle of assassins. I won't let you belong to anyone. His deep voice thundered. Lin met his gaze, and in that moment, she knew he meant every word. But all around them, the portal pulsed and trembled, the light threatening to collapse. If she didn't decide now, it might vanish forever. Will she step through to return home, or stay by Longyu's side? In the heart of the royal garden battlefield, Bai Xian clashed swords with Chengyu's assassins, the sharp clang of steel echoing through the night. Several assassins lunged at once, but Bai Xian only smirked, smoothly twisting aside. Is that all you've got? He taunted, his blade flashing in swift, deadly arcs. As the assassins fell one by one, Princess Sufei arrived with her royal guards, her voice clear and commanding. Seize them all. Seeing the tides turn, Duke Chengyu's lips curled into a sharp, chilling smile. Lalin, he murmured darkly, did you think escaping me would be that easy? He raised his hand, and unleashed his hidden power. A torrent of black chi erupted from his body, forcing everyone back under its crushing pressure. As the assassins closed in from every direction, chaos erupted like a storm. Blades clashed, cries echoed. The ground trembled beneath the whirlwind of battle. Suddenly, a commanding voice rang through the storm. Seize them all, now. From the shadows behind the portal, Princess Sufei emerged, her golden armor gleaming under the blood moon's glow. What is that power? Lalin gasped, eyes wide. Longyu's jaw clenched tightly. He's using the forbidden power of the royal bloodline. Duke Chengyu let out a low, sinister laugh. If you don't step through that portal now, I'll destroy it, and take you down with it. Whoosh! With a swift motion, he hurled his dark energy straight at the glowing portal. The shimmering gateway began to tremble violently, its light flickering. If it collapsed before Lalin chose, She might never return home again. Lalin. Long Yu gripped her shoulders firmly, his eyes blazing. You must decide, now. Lalin trembled, her heart shattering into pieces. Should she return to her world? Or stay here, with the one who held her heart? In the battle-scarred royal garden, the black chi unleashed by Duke Chengyu surged wildly across the grounds. Fierce winds howled through the trees, their branches bending and snapping, as thunder cracked overhead, as if the heavens themselves were enraged. Heh, do you still intend to stand in my way, Long Yu? Chengyu's cold voice cut through the storm, his raised hand gathering more, crackling dark energy. Long Yu said nothing. He drew his sword from its sheath, eyes sharp and steady like a warrior ready to fight to the death. I will never let you harm Lalin. Whoosh! In a blink, Chengyu hurled his black energy straight at Long Yu, but with a sharp twist of his sword, Long Yu slashed through the attack, shattering it midair. Standing at his side, Bai Xian gave a low whistle. Oh my, senior brother. You look really pissed off right now. Shut up and fight. Long Yu shot him a quick glare. Bai Xian laughed, then leapt forward, cutting down the assassins swarming toward them. Meanwhile, Princess Su Fei's elite guards rushed in to back them up, holding the lines with fierce determination. The clash of swords and roars of chi filled the night air. But time was running out. The shimmering portal still pulsed behind Lalin, trembling on the brink of collapse. Her choice had to come soon. In front of the glowing portal, Lalin stood trembling, eyes fixed on the chaotic battle before her. Her heart pounded in her chest, her breath caught in her throat. She wouldn't, let Long Yu fight alone. I might not have a sword like them, but I'm not weak. She drew a deep breath, clenched her fists, and dashed forward. Whoosh! Dodging the incoming blasts of chi with sharp reflexes, Lalin unleashed the Muay Thai and Taekwondo moves she had trained back in her original world. Spinning kicks, swift punches, knocking down assassins with surprising agility. Long Yu shot her a stunned glance mid-swing. What are you doing here? I'm helping you. Of course, Lalin called back, flashing a cheeky grin before flipping and landing a sharp kick that sent another enemy sprawling. His chest tightened for a moment, part worry, part awe, but he had no time to dwell on it. Together, they would stand and fight, side by side. At the turning point of fate, Lord Qingyu's brow furrowed tightly as he watched Lalin fend off his assassins. Heh, so you're not the fragile little girl I thought you were, he murmured, voice edged with dark amusement. With a sharp motion, he raised his hand, gathering swirls of black chi that thickened around him like a venomous fog. I will end this, now, he thundered, eyes flashing with malice, before launching himself directly toward Lalin. But in that instant, whoosh, Long Yu stepped sharply in front of her, his sword gleaming silver under the blood-red moonlight. With a swift, powerful strike, he deflected the dark energy, sending shockwaves rippling through the air. I told you, Long Yu growled, his voice low and unwavering. You will never lay a hand on her. Lord Qingyu staggered back a step, but his lips twisted into a wicked grin. In that case, I'll send you both to your graves. Together. The end of the battle. The clash of Lord Qingyu's dark power against Long Yu's blade erupted in a deafening explosion that shook the entire courtyard. Lalin saw a blinding flash of light, and then, sudden, eerie silence. As her vision cleared, she saw Long Yu standing in front of her, chest heaving with heavy breaths. Across the courtyard, Lord Qingyu had been hurled back, his body crashing violently into the stone wall. Impossible, Lord Qingyu gasped, blood trickling from the corner of his lips. His eyes, once sharp and filled with malice, now trembled with disbelief. Without thinking, Lalin rushed forward, grasping Long Yu's arm. Are you all right? She asked, voice shaking. He turned to her, his dark eyes softening for just a moment. He gave a slight nod. I'm fine, he murmured, though his fingers tightened briefly around the hilt of his sword. Before the fading portal, the shimmering light of the portal dimmed rapidly, its edges flickering, trembling, threatening to vanish at any moment. If Lalin didn't step through now, she would lose her chance to return home forever. From a distance, Bai Xian watched the scene unfold, a faint smile playing at his lips. Little Junior, he murmured to himself. I truly wonder. What will you choose? Long Yu's hand gripped Lin's tightly, his dark eyes locked onto hers, brimming with emotions. He could no longer hide. Lalin, he said softly, voice trembling with everything he wasn't saying. Will you go? Or will you stay? Lalin stared up at him, her heart pounding so fiercely. It felt as if it might burst from her chest. She glanced toward the trembling portal, its glow flickering as the aura around. It slowly faded. With every heartbeat, every breath, it edged closer to vanishing completely. This might be my only chance to go home. Lalin turned back, her eyes meeting Long Yu's. His sharp, unwavering gaze was locked entirely on her, his hand clutching hers as if afraid she'd slip away. I cannot ask you to stay, Long Yu said softly, voice low yet filled with raw emotion. But I do not want you to leave. Lin pressed her lips together, chest tightening as her heart twisted in turmoil. What should I choose?
Chapter 11, Final. She made her choice, but something went wrong.
At the edge of the portal, Lalin clenched her fists, her heart pounding like a war drum. She stole one last glance at the portal, its shimmering glow flickering, as if drawing its final breath. Yet her other hand remained, firmly gripped by Long Yu, his sharp, unwavering gaze locked onto her as though determined to memorize every detail of her before she made her choice. She drew a deep breath, then spoke softly, but with unmistakable resolve. I will stay here. Long Yu's eyes widened slightly, surprise flashing across his usually stoic face. A heavy silence settled between them, before the faintest spark of relief and joy ignited in his dark eyes. Are you sure? He asked in a voice barely above a whisper. Lalin gave a small, determined nod, her eyes shining with certainty. I don't know why I was brought here, or what destiny expects of me, but there's one thing I know for sure. I can't abandon everything here, and I don't want to leave you. Amid the chaos at the portal, Long Yu's eyes flickered, as if struggling to believe the words he had just heard. But before he could utter a single response, boom! The portal, which had been moments from closing, suddenly shuddered violently. A furious storm of energy erupted outward, swirling with the wrath of a world unbalanced. Lalin felt it at once, an immense force, dragging her toward the glowing vortex. What's happening? She gasped, eyes wide with panic. The portal's losing its balance. Byaxian shouted in alarm, trying to push forward against the roaring wind. It's collapsing, but not properly. No, I already chose to stay. Lalin screamed at the top of her lungs, heart pounding with desperation. But her choice, her will, meant nothing in the face of the raging dimensional storm. Byaxian lunged forward to reach her, but the violent winds hurled him back. Princess Sufei, watching from the edge, clasped her hands to her mouth in horror. This was no ordinary closing. This was a catastrophe, and at the center of it all, Lalin clung tightly to Long Yu, tears streaming down her face as the furious energy of the portal threatened to rip her away. The final crisis. Long Yu clenched his teeth, despair burning in his sharp eyes. He refused to let her go. Not now. Not ever. His hands gripped her arms tighter, channeling every last ounce of his chi to resist the pull of the collapsing portal. I will never let you go. His voice trembled with determination and desperation all at once. But at that exact moment, from across the battlefield, where he lay battered and broken, Prince Jingyu's lips curved into a twisted, sly smile, gathering the last of his dark energy. Swoosh! A blast of black power shot through the air, straight toward Lalin. Lalin, watch out! Byaxian's voice rang out in warning, but it was too late. The dark strike slammed into Lalin's back with brutal force. Just as she clung to Long Yu, the impact sent her body flying, crashing directly into the glowing portal. Whoosh! No! Long Yu roared, his hand snapping out instinctively, but all he caught was the empty air, as her figure was swallowed whole by the collapsing portal's furious light. And then, silence. The portal snapped shut. The storm stopped, and Lin was gone. The final second. Lalin! Long Yu's roar tore through the night, but the howling winds of the portal devoured her in the blink of an eye. With a final, searing pulse of light, the portal sealed shut. Forever. The world fell eerily silent. The storm vanished as if it had never been. The garden lay still, the moon casting its pale glow over the shattered ground. Lalin was gone. Long Yu collapsed to his knees, his hands still stretched out desperately into the empty air, as if he could pull her back from nothingness. Byaxian and Sufei stood frozen, hearts clenched, unable to say a single word. They knew Lin had truly vanished. In Long Yu's residence, days passed. The once lively chambers, where Lalin's laughter and bickering had filled the air, were now silent. Long Yu sat motionless before a pile of scrolls on his desk, but his eyes drifted far away. I couldn't protect you. His fists clenched so tightly that his knuckles turned white. Suddenly, he rose to his feet. The exhaustion in his gaze was replaced by a fierce determination. I will find a way to bring you back, no matter where you are. In the shadows of Prince Qingyu's manor, though Prince Qingyu had been defeated, the sly smile never left his face. His fingers stroked an ancient tome, and he murmured softly to himself, "The game isn't over yet." Heh. In the third prince's manor, the atmosphere inside Long Yu's residence was more silent than ever before. No bickering, no laughter from the girl from another world, who had once stirred his heart. Everything was still, as if she had never existed here at all. Long Yu sat quietly in his study, moonlight spilling in through the window, casting his long shadow across the floor. The eyes that once held unwavering determination were now clouded with sorrow. In his hand, he tightly gripped the folding fan that Lalin had once mischievously snatched from him on the first day they met. "Have you truly gone, Your Highness?" Bai Xian stepped forward slowly, sighing softly as he took in the sight of his master. "You shouldn't let yourself fall into this state." "I am fine," Long Yu replied in his usual calm tone. But everyone knew he was anything but fine. Bai Xian studied him for a long moment, then spoke quietly. "Do you truly believe she has returned to her own world?" Long Yu's fingers tightened slightly, his voice lowering. "What do you mean by that?" With a faint smirk, Bai Xian pulled an old, worn scroll from inside his sleeve. "Before the dimensional gate closed, I uncovered something about this crossing between worlds. There's something off." Long Yu's eyes narrowed sharply, his attention fully drawn to the scroll in Bai Xian's hands. "You're saying she might still be here?" "I'm not certain," Bai Xian admitted honestly, his eyes dark with thought. "But if she had truly gone back, as the dimensional gate intended, her body should have fully dissolved, dispersed within the flow of the dimensional energy." He paused, his voice turning more serious. "Yet in that final moment, we saw her being struck, forced through the gate not by its pull, but by an external blow. It's as if she didn't return to her original world, but was thrown somewhere else entirely. In the shadows of the unknown, somewhere, far from the palace." Lalin felt the cold brush of air against her skin. Slowly, she opened her eyes, her vision blurred, her body heavy, as if something pinned her to the stone floor. She tried to move, only to feel the harsh bite of cold iron shackles clamped around her wrists. "Where am I?" She struggled to gather her thoughts, eyes darting across the dimly lit room. Ancient stone walls surrounded her, etched with strange, unfamiliar symbols. Heart pounding in the gloom. "I didn't return to my world. But I'm not in Long Yu's palace either. Where is this place?" Suddenly, footsteps echoed down the corridor outside. Lalin held her breath, her heart pounding furiously in her chest. The heavy wooden door creaked open. Torchlight spilled into the chamber, illuminating a tall figure cloaked in black. Sharp eyes, cold and cunning, locked onto hers with a chilling smile. "You really thought I would let you escape so easily?" Lalin's eyes widened in shock. Prince Chengyu, he was alive. And worse, he was the one orchestrating everything behind the scenes. At Princess Sufei's manor. "You're serious, Bai Xian?" Princess Sufei shot to her feet, her eyes wide with shock. "You mean there's a chance Lalin is still alive?" "I can't be certain yet," Bai Xian replied steadily. "But if she is, we must find her before it's too late." All this time, Long Yu had been silent, his gaze dark and brooding. But now, a spark ignited in his eyes once more. The heavy sorrow that had weighed on him was swept away, replaced by fierce, burning determination. "I will find her," he declared, his voice low but resolute. "No matter where she is, I'll bring her back." In the secret prison of Lord Qingyu, Lalin struggled, pulling at the iron chains around her wrists with all her might. But they were too tight, too strong. Lord Qingyu approached slowly, a mocking smile curling at his lips. "Did you really think," he murmured, voice like ice, "that I would let you meddle in my plans again? What do you want from me?" Lalin hissed, teeth clenched. Qingyu chuckled softly. "I want your power." Lalin's brows furrowed in confusion. "What power?" He stepped closer, eyes gleaming darkly. "Do you truly not know? Ever since you crossed into this realm, you became the key to unlocking a hidden force sealed within the royal bloodline. And I will be the one to control it." A cold shiver ran down Lalin's spine. "This is bad. I have to find a way to escape." In the war chamber of Prince Long Yu, Long Yu clenched the edge of the map tightly, his sharp eyes blazing with determination. Beside him stood Bai Xian and Princess Su Fei, flanked by their finest soldiers. We must find her, Long Yu declared firmly. Wherever she is, I will bring her back. Far away, in the depths of his lair, Lord Qingyu sat calmly, his fingers tapping lightly on an ancient tome. Even though Long Yu was preparing to strike, the game was far from over. In Lord Qingyu's secret dungeon, Lalin panted hard. Her fierce eyes locked onto Lord Qingyu. Though her body was bound, her spirit remained utterly unbroken. You really think I'd let you in so easily? Lalin smirked defiantly, feeling a strange surge of golden energy stirring inside her body. What are you saying? Qingyu's brow furrowed. But before he could react, a brilliant wave of golden chi burst from Lalin's form. Meanwhile, outside the secret dungeon, charge in, now! Lang Yu's voice rang out, as he and Bai Xian led the soldiers storming inside. The third prince's sharp eyes swept across the chamber and froze. There, standing tall in the center of the chaos, was Lalin, landing punch after punch on Lord Qingyu, who was now crumpled on the ground. She doesn't even need us to rescue her, does she? Bai Xian whispered to Princess Su Fei beside him. It seems not. Su Fei chuckled softly, a sparkle in her eye. But Lang Yu ignored everything else. Without another word, he strode straight toward Lalin and pulled her into his arms, holding her tight. You're alive. His low voice was barely audible, but it was thick with overwhelming emotion. Lalin blinked up at him, then broke into a wide grin. Of course I am. I haven't married your highness yet. Have I? The fall of Prince Qingyu. This isn't over yet. Prince Qingyu roared, struggling to get up. But in an instant, the soldiers of Prince Long Yu pinned him down firmly. You deserve punishment, Long Yu said coldly, his eyes sharp as ice. He turned slightly, nodding toward Princess Su Fei and Bai Xian. I'll handle this myself. Princess Su Fei smiled sweetly, though her eyes gleamed with cunning. You will pay for everything you've done. Qingyu's face twisted in fury, but he was powerless now. The schemer who once pulled the strings had finally been captured. At the palace after the battle, several days later, peace returned to the royal palace. Lalin was honored as a special guest of the kingdom, and most importantly, the wedding of the third prince and the woman from another world was about to take place. I still can't believe I'm marrying a prince, Lalin whispered softly, as she stood beside Long Yu, dressed in her beautiful bridal gown. I can't believe I fell in love with the most troublesome woman in the entire kingdom, Long Yu teased in his usual cold tone. But his eyes shone with undeniable warmth. But you love me, don't you? Lalin grinned widely. The third prince let out a small sigh before leaning in and whispering against her ear, I love you, and I will never let you slip away from me again. At the third prince's residence, after surviving countless hardships and battles, Lalin thought she could finally return to a normal life in the palace. But she was wrong. The once cold, stern, and distant Prince Long Yu had now transformed into a full-blown, hopelessly in love husband. You're eating too little, that deep voice murmured beside her ear before Long Yu's chopsticks reached over, placing a large piece of meat into Lalin's bowl. You need to eat more. Understand? Lalin stared at her now overflowing rice bowl, packed with the best dishes from the table, before glancing up at her husband in disbelief. Your Highness, were you always like this? What do you mean? He raised an eyebrow. Well, like a husband who loves his wife. Long Yu cut in smoothly, lifting his teacup to sip while casting her a sly, knowing glance. Lalin nearly choked on her rice, coughing as her face turned crimson. Bai Xian, sitting nearby, burst out laughing. Ha ha ha, princess consort. I truly sympathize with you. Bai Xian, don't laugh. Lalin whipped around, glaring at him, her cheeks blazing like ripe persimmons. But Long Yu simply looked at her with satisfied eyes. His hand reached out to gently wipe the corner of her mouth, his voice dropping to a low murmur by her ear. Don't defy me again. You belong to me now. Oh no. I'm going to melt. First night after the wedding, Lalin stood hesitantly at the doorway of the bedchamber, her eyes darting nervously, her heart pounding like a drum. Why am I so nervous? It's just going to bed. That's all, she tried to calm herself. But the moment she stepped inside, she froze. There, waiting for her, was Long Yu, dressed in a light robe, his long black hair cascading naturally over his shoulders, his handsome face wearing a faint smile. That made her heart race even harder. "You're here," he said in a low, velvety voice. I mean, where should I sleep?" Lalin stammered, instinctively stepping backward. "Our bed, of course," Longyu replied smoothly, taking slow, deliberate steps toward her. "Or, shall I carry you there myself?" "What are you planning to do?" Lalin blurted, backing up until her back hit the wall. "You are my wife," he murmured, placing his hands on either side of her head, trapping her within his arms. "I can do whatever I want, can't I?" Where did my stoic, cold prince go? This is definitely a sly, wicked prince. The next day, Byaxian was enjoying his tea leisurely when he caught sight of Lalin stepping out of the prince's residence. Faint pink marks still visible on her cheeks. He immediately choked on his tea, nearly spraying it out. "Princess consort, how was last night?" he asked with a mischievous grin. "Baishi?" Lalin shrieked, her face flushing a deep red, as she grabbed a nearby pillow and whacked him squarely. Byaxian burst into laughter. Just as Princess Sufei happened to walk by, she paused, taking in the scene with an amused look, before nodding slowly. As expected of my little brother," she murmured slyly. "He's turned into quite the lovesick husband, hasn't he?" "The fall of the Tsundere prince. Your Highness, you really need to let me go now," Lalin huffed, struggling to pry off the strong arms wrapped tightly around her from behind. "No," Longyu murmured softly into her ear, his voice filled with a tenderness no one had ever seen from him before. "I still want to hold you a little longer." You're impossible," Lalin sighed, though her heart was pounding, so hard it felt like it might burst from her chest. The married life of the love-struck prince. "I'm just going out for a walk. You really don't need to follow me," Lalin said, glancing back at her husband, who was trailing her like a shadow. "No," Longyu answered flatly. "I'm only going to the market," she insisted. "And what if someone looks at you?" he asked, narrowing his eyes. "Let them look." Lalin shot back immediately. "No." His voice was firm as he gripped her hand even tighter. "Only I'm allowed to look at you." Lalin's cheeks flushed bright red. "Oh my little brother. You're this possessive over your wife?" Princess Sufei teased as she passed by. "So what?" Longyu replied with a deadpan expression, still refusing to let go of Lin's hand. Byaxian chuckled, shaking his head. "I always thought the cold-hearted prince would never change. I take it all back." A sweet and perfect ending. That night, Lalin sat quietly on the bed, watching Longyu as he tied his long hair, getting ready for sleep. Without realizing it, a soft smile crept onto her face. "What are you looking at?" Longyu raised an eyebrow. "I'm looking at my husband," she answered playfully, tilting her chin up with a grin. Longyu gave a small smile before pulling her into a tight embrace. "I'm glad you chose to stay with me." Lalin rested her head against his chest, murmuring softly, "And I'm glad I crossed worlds and met you. Even though I was thrown into this world so unexpectedly, in the end, I truly made the right choice." Please follow the channel so you don't miss the next story.